Squires to Storylords, the prompt-based fiction podcast with 2 prompts, 3 stories and infinite laughter. I'm Rich Masters, and with me as always is Jeff Pennington.
Hey yo.
And Josh Henderson.
You said infinite laughter? That's impossible.
Shut the podcast down. It's built on lies.
I'm getting fired, aren't I?
I mean, it's the end of the season. There's no better time. Episode 52. We've been doing this for 56 episodes? 55?
Because what are you talking about?
We've had 2 Q&As and a mid-season special.
Okay.
So,
those don't count. That's a different show.
No, they were much easier. Didn't have to do any work.
Less work, yeah.
That's what the whole show is going to be from now on, by the way, everybody. So we're going to recap the first 2 seasons for 52 more episodes.
Oh, wow. We'll do just retcons of everything.
Actually, that entire universe Rich killed, they're fine. It's okay.
I did think about bringing them back from season 1, and I was like, no, I can't do it. I'm going to do something different in season 3.
We're going to be saying that same thing about these guys next season, too. We're going to be like, I love those characters.
Yeah.
Well, there's a reason why my characters aren't coming back.
Is it because the contract is up?
It's because I don't want to write them anymore.
It's because I put a registered trademark on all of them, and Jeff's not allowed to use them next season.
Because they all have red cross tattoos. Is that why?
I love the joke from the pre-show that comes back in the episode.
the pre-cum show, yeah, that's what. Yep.
No, there's a definite reason beyond that I'm not doing the next
Stop
reason. So
fucking spoiling the episode.
It's for titillation. You love titillation.
Our prompts this week were butterflies and bosoms.
Sure.
Speaking of titillation.
And I'm going
I think you're
first
mispronouncing that.
Bosoms?
Yeah.
It's titillation.
Oh, okay.
It's elation of the tits. You were elated to see
I thought
the
it was
tits.
titfellation.
That is a thing, definitely a thing.
Yeah.
I'll show you some pictures.
I'll show you some fan art.
I'll just go back in our WhatsApp. I'm sure you've already shown me them.
No, it's not like that.
They're new
WhatsApp.
ones.
No, we don't do that. Wink. We're very nice.
We're very
Wink
sedate.
wonk. Wink wonk.
I'm going first this week, and my episode, the finale, is called... I should probably say... No, I'm not going to spoil it. It's the end of the world as we know it, and I feel moderately disappointed with my life choices.
Shit.
That's going to fit in the fucking cryon at the top of the fucking page.
I'll abbreviate it. It can be a... What's it called? Acronym. The white
somehow spells out titlatio?
Titlatio?
The white hot room was as white and hot as Alison Brie, but fortunately for Kellen, she was not married to Dave Franco. I mean, honestly, Dave Franco. That guy, Alison, did you kick your seeing eye dog and this is their terrible revenge? Did you accidentally download a dating app for stoner loser dirtbags who somehow give you more ick than their sexual predator siblings?
God damn.
That's pretty bad.
Some may call me jealous. And yes, I'll admit, there is an element of that. But more, I just want better for her. If anyone finds the magical doll of Alison that the Franco family have locked in an attic in their house, which I presume is a rancid sex dungeon or under a bridge by the bus station somewhere, please smash it for her sake.
What if it's like, help me?
Josh and I just had this same conversation about Drake and Rihanna.
Yeah, we were talking about Drake and Rihanna last night.
I know, I tagged on to the end of that conversation.
How many messages was it by the end when you saw it?
It was about
400?
It was about, I think it was about 70, which is not bad.
Oh,
Yeah, for us, it's not bad, actually.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Wow.
And then I shared a picture of Rachel Weisz in leather that I was like,
Yeah,
I love her.
And then we all got quiet and stopped typing for about 3 minutes.
Oh, my hands were occupied. I was writing my story.
Of course.
Kellen, yes, I didn't forget that I was actually writing a story and not a gunman's goodbye letter. Sat looking at a being of pure light and put her hand up over her eyes to make out the features. "Oh, sorry," Doots said and twisted on her own nipple. The light went down and she became a tarnished gold colour.
What?
Wait, you use your nipple as a dimmer switch? Kellen laughed. How do you call for room service in this place? Honk an ass cheek?
Yeah.
Doots chuckled as she put the keytar down next to her. Nah, I just thought it'd get rid of that pickle puss expression you had on. You won, Kellen. You know how unlikely that was? As unlikely as a Musk kid respecting or valuing their moronic child of a father. Turns out, money can buy you everything. Except a fucking clue.
Nice.
You outplayed a god, Kellen. All right, he had worms, and I'm pretty sure he eats out of the trash, but it is something to celebrate.
Who doesn't?
Kellen sighed. Yeah, I won all right. And all it took was me not existing anymore. Doots walked over and sat down beside her. What more noble purpose could there be? Except maybe blowjobs for people who write stories every 2 weeks for their audience, effectively for free. I don't know if there's a God, Kellen, but in my opinion, I can't imagine any higher calling. Unless maybe there's some other way to support them. Doots stared at the camera.
Damn, dudes.
Right along the bottom of the TV, it just starts scrolling patreon.com/mclass, or not,
it's like real
Storylords.
Really fast.
What are you talking about? Kellen looked around. I mean, I thought I was just going to cease to be, like blink out of existence or something. And now I'm in this suspiciously wipe-clean room, talking to what I think might be a PTSD or lack of orgasm-induced neon hallucination. And I don't even know if any of it was worth it. It's always worth it. I had to eradicate myself to save my friends, and they get to live on without me in peace. Doots looked away, the memory of Tabor and Hallie and Heath and Hajoki, all too painful. Weirdly, the thought of Lionel arguing about Grissom using his Game Boy and overwriting his Super Mario Land 2 save file brought her back with a smile.
Yeah.
I mean, you can complete that game in like 20 fucking minutes. Man up, Lionel.
He's been playing it for about 20 years, though.
Somebody keeps deleting his save file, dude.
Doesn't matter how easy it is if it just keeps going after 5 minutes. I mean, I helped save the world from a metal demon and a talking dog. Malcolm? Kellen jerked her head up like a dog when you rustle a rapper, or a 6-year-old when you do anything private that you just need 5 fucking minutes for.
This is a dog show.
You fought Malcolm too? Doots stood and pulled Kellen to her feet. All Doots seemed to have in some way. You're no different. Kellen squinted as Doots waved a hand in front of the wall. Who says I'm a Doots, anyway? Maybe you're a Kellen. Not with that sense of style, I'm not, Doots said as a door swished open to reveal a somehow lighter room, eyeing up Kellen's ripped cargo pants and wrist straps. You look like you're off to a Green Day concert in 2000. How's your Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2 playthrough going, Kellen? FYI, I wouldn't bother getting too into Britney Spears and Justin Timberlake's relationship if I were you.
You're really pushing this one.
They walked into a room without boundaries, without walls, without limits, where thousands of individuals turned as one to welcome her. Beings of gold and silver, of all sexes and species, of shapes and sizes. There was an amorphous blob of golden gas, a metallic hawk-headed man with a giant axe, and hundreds, thousands of others. This is the Council of Doots. Don't tell Sony, they'll think we stole it from Spider-Verse. Wow, Comic-Con went super gay this year, Kellen muttered. And this is from a bisexual. Look, a spectrum of beings would have a spectrum of sexuality and experience, child, said a man in a white jumpsuit with a lightning bolt painted on his face as he walked by. Kellen squinted and looked at
David
Doots.
Bowie?
Was that circa 1972 David Bowie?
a subtle cameo.
He was Doots. He was a Doots.
That makes total
Doots.
sense.
So, Dootsai, whatever, you're all reality warpers and time jumpers. Well, about that. We're all universal anomalies. That's the key. Bowie was a prophet. I was the living embodiment of hope. The Stegosaurus Doots over there, well, he was able to talk, but it didn't really help, as none of the other dinosaurs could, so he was just screaming warnings of falling meteors at morons.
My God.
Kinda like...
fucking night.
Yeah, what a hell.
Kinda like 2020 Earthers and climate change.
Oh, man.
Some of us open portals, some alter reality, some time travel. You're a bit of a special case, though, because you can do a little bit of everything, it seems. Kellen raised her hand and shouted, "Vote to change the name of this place to the Council of Kellens." She smiled and turned back to Doots, who was shaking her head. All right, so if we can go anywhere and do anything, if we can change things, then why the hell do we stay in this place? Doots finished. Well, we all collectively think we need to let things play out as they should. Let our loved ones have the lives they deserve and they've made for themselves. When they die...
Boring.
When they die, we can be with them then. She clasped her hands together and produced an image of a live bug with long, iridescent wings, looking at it longingly. Kellen was amazed by its beauty. "Your partner is a butterfly?" Kellen whispered in awe. Doots laughed. "Mookie would kiss you for saying that. They're a moth, albeit the most beautiful moth you've ever seen." "Agreed," nodded Kellen. "What about me, though?" "Well...
in your pants, Callan."
Yeah, Kellen's trying to fuck that moth.
Yeah.
Well, you're pretty hot, I guess," Doots uncomfortably began, before realising what she meant. "Oh, you mean your reality? Oh, okay, thank God. I thought you were being really needy." "Well, because you went back and sort of like erased bits, we've got a bit of a unique opportunity, one I think you kind of deserve. How's about you ensure your friends find each other again? Only caveat, you can guide, but you can't make things perfect for them. If you pull it too tight, so all the wrinkles are gone, you can tear it, along with the rest of reality. And you can't be part of it, because you'll bring nothing but chaos to them." Kellen smiled. The thought of the opportunity to put them back the way they were almost made her weep and sploosh at the same time.
Whoa.
What?
That's called fiving.
"All right, Ghost of Christmas Doocher, let's do it."
Sure.
Dr. Anatomica sat at the long metal table and pulled the tarp of the innate form of the robot she had been designing. And pulled the tarp off the innate form of the robot she had been designing. It all seemed so futile, and she had no idea why. She had been so determined, furious even, to create her companion bot and ride him like a steel stallion. She would have worn out her creation's groin attachment 2 days into its warranty. But suddenly, as if someone had altered reality and made her think differently about things, which was obviously impossible, she had decided on another tact, one that wouldn't lead to a confrontation with the orthodoxy. She couldn't understand it. Gordon, her cucumber man cum sex toy, cum in both senses of the word there,
Nice.
waddled in with squelchy noises. It was disgusting. Sounded like he was wearing jizz-drenched flip-flops in a sticky-floored movie theatre in the heart of Swamp Town.
Please.
He came
We already talked about college. Enough.
He came to
Can
stand.
Doots like erase the period of time that we just heard that in?
No.
Yeah.
He came to stand next to Dr. Tomica, who frowned. Does this mean I should get out my ball gag again? He muttered. Don't be silly, she sighed. I mean, obviously yes, but that's not important right now. There just has to be some other way to realise the potential of a motorised robocock on legs, Gordon slurped.
Slurp!
No, as much as I sound certifiable right now, there is more to artificial life than using it for my own sexual gratification.
Whoa.
There must be...
Calm down, fucking Robo Luther King.
Wow.
There must be more than cyber schlicking, bot bonking, knocking bionic boots, droid dicking down.
That one was your last one.
Holy fuck, what is wrong with me? I've lost all desire to make myself a Mr. Data for later.
Oh my god.
He's redeemed himself.
Alright, he's back.
Anna got up and went to her whiteboard, picked up the eraser, and stopped. Gordon, have you been messing with my equations again? Gordon trotted over and shook his head. Now, mistress, you know the only thing I scribble on the board is help me, so that passers-by might hopefully see it and save me from this sex slave purgatory. He laughed uncomfortably.
I mean, I'm not doing anything.
Tag in for a second.
Yeah.
But Anna was too concerned with the board and the rejigged equation she must have completed in some sort of fugue state. She took a pen and crossed out the 1 and the 3 in the title, the Hume Project, and replaced it with an A and an N.
Humna.
Are you still working on this? Doots tried to look over Kellen's shoulder, but Kellen moved to block her view and laughed. Crafting a universe takes time, Doots. She was so happy it almost hurt. It's been weeks. Doots got up and went to leave. She was clear.
You're dead. What else are you going to do?
She was clearly not going to get anything from Kellen today. So long as you're not messing with the fabric, with the rules, it can't be too perfect, too pure. It will break under the stress. You have to remember, it's for them, not for me. I know I can't solve for their problems, Kellen said without looking up. Doots nodded. She understood at least. Because, you know, if you did, I know, Doots. Chaos. Kellen looked up. I just want them to be happy, that's all. I owe them that. She went back to her work.
Yeah, wouldn't it be crazy to be born into a universe that's complete chaos? I mean, what would you even do to, like, cope with that?
What must that be like?
What must that be like internally?
Doots watched her for a fraction of a second more, then left her to it. Oryx stood in the midday sun on the colony, his fellow splicers tilling one field, harvesting fruit in another, and planting in what sounds to me like a nightmare of physical labour, but might have been relaxing and pride-inducing to a race of war slaves. He plucked a thick joba fruit from the vine and took a bite, the juice running down his jaws. It tasted okay, but it was the sweetest food he had ever eaten, apart from a few peaches in his time, if you know what I'm saying.
Oh, I could eat a peach for hours.
I could eat a butt for hours.
What?
A fruit grown from the sweat of the Vale Splicers' collective brows, the seed of their endeavours made manifest, the epitome of their... Valis nudged her brother in the ribs. You're trying to find a wanky, poetic way to let this fruit symbolise this whole experience of freedom, aren't you? Man, you're a pretentious bastard. Sometimes a fruit is just a fruit, Oryx. Oryx chucked the fruit to her. It's hard not to imagine they will return to subjugate us, Valis, even after all this time. I watch the skies nightly, waiting for them to appear on the scanners to take everything from us. Valis pulled him towards the town centre, towards the drink she was going to make him buy for her. I was expecting it too, but it never came. It's been too long. They don't see any value in hunting us anymore. Oryx gave a wry smile. That depends on who holds the throne of Alima now, surely. Oryx pushed the door to the bar open and ordered he and his sister, she who never bought her own drinks, a drink of Joba ale. Another reason they were planting the fruit was that it produced the strongest gut rot when it fermented. I mean,
oh yeah,
this is the sort of stuff your mother wishes existed so she could lure prey, but instead she has to settle for her loose morals and pictures of you as a cute baby to wow people. And it doesn't work.
Damn.
I don't know if I would fuck somebody who was just showing me baby pictures of their kid.
Well,
I'd be like,
how did baby me catch a stray?
Valis took the drink greedily, wiping the sweat off of her neck and sitting back. Some youngster sits on the throne of Peace now, the daughter of General Etiamre. Word is she's united Norngard and Velit under the same banner, and intends to secede from the unionised planets. Another warmonger then, Oryx snorted. And let me guess, the Word is master of her social media and spreads disinformation from his family-owned emerald mine. And her wrath is a gun lobbyist, and their HQ is Four Seasons Total Landscaping.
National landmark.
The politics never change, sister. They just wear different faces. And yet, Valis said, shaking her head, she has disbanded the military complex, the police, the capitalist engine all in a year. In their place sits medical reform, social care program, disarmament. The 3 planets sit in a triumvirate utopia. Who knew you had the vocabulary in you, he smirked. Fuck off, she retorted. How's that for vocab? A deep rumbling shook the building, the drink sliding off the polished bar and smashing to the floor. Valis looked at her brother in fear, and Oryx rushed to the square to look up at the ships in low orbit, the ships of the Pillars of Alima that hung too close to the surface to bomb them at least. Around him, Oryx's people rushed to the square to join him, clutching weapons they had long since put to rest. But Oryx knew it would not be enough. This was it. They had come. The Pillar's longboat descended to the ground and touched down, the door opening as soon as the struts graced earth. 7 pillars, damn near all of them, stood on the ramp. My God, he thought, they sent 7. They mean to slaughter us. But only Raph descended, carrying her huge warhammer on one shoulder. She descended slowly, walking towards the massive splicers before her looking like a furry's wet dream. Then, when she... Don't go to LA.
Joke there.
When she came face to face with Oryx, she placed the warhammer down at his feet and bowed deeply to the earth. Her head bowed to the dirt, showing her neck. It would be so easy to kill her. Oryx, elected head of the Splicer colonies beyond the Veil, she said. The joint thrones of Alima, Velet and Norn have given you time alone, so that you may build your cities to make a true home for your people. But now there is work to be done to make the universe safe again, and our alliances beg an audience with you and your chosen advisors. Oh, really? Oryx raised an eye ridge. So, why send soldiers, and not those that would be appropriate to negotiate and converse? Raph rose to her feet and looked up at his long face. He was so right about you, she said with amusement, then went to take off the helm, but one of the pillars shouted down to her, My lady! She put a hand up. It's all right, Hallgrim. This is what we came here for, remember? She pulled her helm off to reveal long, flowing golden hair. I am Asher Amray, the leader of Alima. Oryx snorted. If you are looking for a curtsy, you'll be observing me for a long time, Amray. My peoples helped the galaxy's war efforts before, General. We were enslaved or killed when we became an inconvenience. I won't let some new system of oppression be built on my people's backs. I can see why you'd be wary of me, Asher nodded. But these pillars, these alliances, are for the people. A system that supports the structure, that lifts those that need it up high. Pillars. We need to remake the social structure of the universe. You're a leader of your people, Oryx. That's important to me, and to the others. Oryx felt Valis' fingers bite into his forearm, but not in fear. Excitement. Oryx was intrigued himself. What others? He asked. She grinned.
I'm going to allow that.
She grinned. Come with me and find out. We'd like you to stop, to leave it alone now. Doots was firm, even though she understood Kellen's plight. You're completely lost in this. I agree, said David Bowie in his 1986 costume from the movie The Labyrinth.
Is this hog just flashing out?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. He's juggling those balls in his hand as well.
That wasn't him. Did you know how they do that?
They had somebody else's hands do the fushigi.
Oh.
He knows. It's called fushigi.
It's not cool, Kellen. Kellen gritted her teeth. You guys don't get it. It's like a cat's cradle. If I pull my fingers out of it, it will collapse. I haven't given it the right structure yet. Doots and Bowie looked at each other. They had enabled this. Were they right to take it away from her and risk the destruction of an innocent reality? Okay, 1 more week, then we take it from you, Doots said. Shore it up, then release. You're in danger of fracturing every reality if you keep going. I promise, Kellen said, but her attention was diverted on the ball of light in her hands. As the ship entered the Aliman atmosphere, it shook harder than your dad when your mum told him she was expecting. and he had to figure out his escape plan. And
it took him long enough, you know?
And much like the starship, after the payload was delivered, he would bug out as soon as possible, so swiftly he'd leave flames behind him. The saving grace was the shuttle would at least not lie that it was going out for a pack of smokes. Oryx sat in his seat across from the Word, a cybernetic man from Norngard he felt he knew somehow. Lady Asher had called him Hallgrim, but the name wasn't familiar to the Splicer. Hallgrim had been staring back at Oryx in puzzlement the entire trip, as if he could almost recognise him as well. "Have we been acquainted before, sir?" Oryx asked. "Do we know each other from that hentai convention? I normally dressed as the Coctopus King, Cunt Thulu." Hallgrim squinted. "Or maybe we were on the Queen Queef message boards together. I was pretty active there until Lady and Asher and I got together." "You and the Regent of Elima. Excuse me for my bluntness, Hallgrim, but I feel that match is slightly incongruous." Hallgrim laughed. "Oh, mate, you and me both. On paper, we're as well matched as the Taliban and in-flight safety demonstrations."
Whoa!
Oh, fuck, dude.
"But Ash sought me out, said she knew we were meant to be together, so I got her checked for head injury, naturally." Hallgrim nodded enthusiastically. "Yep, a degenerate low-level hustler from the slums of Norn who was heading for prison, the one to tame the heart of royalty. Not even Freddie Prinze Jr. at the height of his teen rom-com power could make that story work." "But she was insistent. She brought me to Elima to be a pillar, and then I helped to bring the Norn and Velit to the table." Oryx had heard the story from his sister, but it had more weight to it now, and he was all the more surprised. "How?" Hallgrim shrugged. "Broke into the unionised planet security net, showed the rest of the universe how the UP was using them for their resources. If there's anything I can do better than anyone, mate, it's shining a bright light on the filth others do to make you feel shit. Then Florgo, the Word, he helped Ash deliver the perfect arguments to get them on side. He's a silver-tongued demon, that one. You wouldn't think of it to look at him, if you noticed him at all, that is. But he's a master at deals and pacts." "Hello," a voice cheerily declared from next to Oryx with a wave, causing the giant crocodile to nearly have a heart attack. When he regained his composure, he turned to the black, armoured man next to him, who almost looked like Urkelbot. "Good gracious, Florgo. I didn't even see you there." I had that effect on people," he said in a monotone. "Asher likes keeping me close to the conversation so I can slither my way in and listen." "How long have you been a pillar?" Florgo considered. "As long as Hallgrim, and a few of the others. Lady Asher's older brother, people who want to make work for the betterment of the universe, to stabilise and serve our people. The 7 of us making things better. Like we were born to do it." Oryx would believe it when he saw it, and he would soon. He had been promised safe passage and could return to the colony at any time. A guest, not a prisoner. "It sounds like you have things all figured out. Why do you even need me?" Hallgrim came to sit next to Oryx. "Oh, lizard lips. Who do you think we kept the last pillar seat open for?" Oryx side-eyed him. If the offer was on the level, it was too good to be true. An opportunity to keep his people safe, to have a seat at the table. "But why? What on earth makes you think I'd be good for this?" Hallgrim and Florgo looked at each other and laughed. "Mate, let's just say we've got a pretty foolproof roadmap." Doots led the hunting party into the last unexplored corner of the Council of Doots. She should really have guessed it was where they would find her, in the darkest part, where she couldn't be seen unless she wanted to. So close to the edge of nothingness, it was like the inside of J.K. Rowling's heart.
One last shot.
"Kellen," she said as they approached her, "we're taking it from you." "You can't," Kellen whispered. "I won't let you. You'll have to kill me first." Two of the other Doots, including Silk Duke-era David Bowie, tried to pull Kellen's hands free from the ball of light, the universe she was recreating in her own image, but stopped in shock. Doots noticed their reaction and spun the woman around. Her mouth opened. "What have you done?" The light and the girl were inseparable, the very veins and arteries in her arm shining with the same light. She had absorbed some of it, or was being absorbed. Doots had never seen anything like it. "Put her somewhere safe until we figure out how to stop the quantum entanglement," Doots said. "You might just be the end of us all, Kellen." Hello, friends.
Way to go.
Hello, friends. A synthetic man of bluish hue stood waiting for them all in the centre of the chamber of the Capitol building. It has been a while. Hume wore a V-neck t-shirt, a pair of cargo shorts and some boating shoes, like he'd been gangbanged by some J.C. Penney catalogues.
That's the most human-ass shit.
Oryx went to the synthetic. There was something there behind his almost human eyes. "Hume?" he muttered. Hume grabbed Oryx's hand, and the crocodilian tilted ahead. There was something, a recollection. He looked at the others in the room, at Asher, at Hallgrim and Florgo, and they were looking at him expectantly. He was filled with confusion, but then a clarity. He knew them all, had always known them, would always know them. "How is this possible?" he said. "We died." "Kellen," Asher explained. "Somehow she passed Hume every bit of our knowledge, all our past lives, our past selves. He was the only thing," Hume cleared his throat, "sorry, legitimate human being, able to store it for all of us. And he was able to bring us back." Asher finished. "Yeah," Hallgrim said. "Kel saved everything." Asher shook her head. "She did better than that. Hallgrim's cybernetics are perfect. He doesn't look like he grew up in a back alley chop shop anymore. Hume is closer to human than ever. Oryx, you didn't lose your people, and I can affect whatever change I want. That and I have much bigger tits than I ever had. Like a 2-cup difference. Thank you kindly, Kellen."
Oh, yeah.
"A fact we're all grateful for," Hallgrim stated. "And I'm also here," Florgo declared, and everyone turned to him, surprised he was still in the room. Hume beamed as he looked around at his friends. "I am so pleased to see all of you. Hug mode enabled." He swept everyone up in a crushing hug with his human-looking toned arms. He was overcome with emotions that he was still getting used to. He had waited so long after his creation, with the burden of their past lives, waiting for them all to be the right ages and positions to give them back their existences. And now it was done, and they were all together again. It felt wonderful. Everything they had ever wanted. "So, what now?" Hallgrim asked. It had taken a long time in the Council of Doots, deciding what to do with Kellen. Arguments from 1,000 multiverses. Opinions and counter-arguments, debate and dispute, exchanges and deliberation. It seemed to go on for eons, but in reality was just a mere moment. A single nanosecond's worth of consensus. Doots had volunteered to tell Kellen the decision. It had been her that made friends with the human, had tried to help her, and it was her that had to stop her. They would have to quarantine her and the reality she had recreated, separating, disconnecting her from the rest of the Omniverse to protect the whole. It was surgery, removing a tumour to save the body. She descended the stairs, expecting to see light emanating from the cell, but there was nothing. Doots' pace quickened, and as she turned the corner and peered into the cell where they had stored her, she found nothing. No universe, no Kellen, no anything. "Fucker's more slippery than Tabor," Doots hissed under her breath. Hallgrim's question hung in the air until a scraping noise sounded behind them. As they turned, Wrath emerged from Etty's old office, dragging Doomcock behind her. The others rushed to her, grateful, questions overlapping thick and fast as they welcomed Kellen back, until Asher held her hands out. Okay. She held her sister by the shoulders and shook her. "How are you here? You sacrificed everything to save us. You
Jesus!
You did it, Kellen." Raph looked at them, at an Oryx that was happy, but still suspicious, at Hallgrim who still had those cybernetic parts, who was still abrasive and annoying. at the still not human Hume, at Asher, who was burdened by the responsibility of leadership, and Florgo, who simply was there.
That's a problem in and of itself.
It wasn't right. Kellen had sacrificed everything, risked everything for them to be perfect, and here they were, deficient. So nearly there, so nearly perfect. But it wasn't enough. She pushed Asher away, now understanding, finally, what Raph had meant. Understanding the need. She sighed, picked up Doomcock, and walked away from them. They were hardly perfect, but they would make excellent foot soldiers on the path to perfection. Come on, we have work to do. She opened a rift effortlessly. The others stared amongst each other, not understanding. Asher took a step towards her sister and put a hand to Kellen's shoulder. Kellen, why? We're happy. Wasn't that the point? Are you okay, sister? Kellen grabbed her hand and turned it, twisting at the wrist and forcing her to her knees. You are not my sister. You're merely a blueprint. Florgo pulled his hands from his robe, ethereal ice surrounding his closed fist. It's the anachrophasia. She's disassociated with time, the same disease Raph had. I am Wrath, and it is a clarity, not a disease, Kellen said from below her bare helm, the coldness of her tone reflected by the steel, a motionless expression of the helmet. You cannot see the design. You're ants within its walls. I'm its builder. You'll help me, or I'll wipe you away like women's rights on a Republican bill.
They were never there in the first place.
Yeah, true. You are versions of my family. Compromised, twisted, rotten with imperfection. You're nothing to me. She lifted the warhammer, pointing it towards the group. Tears fell down Asher's face at her sister's coldness, her assessment of all their worth. She reached for her friends. Then kill us. We know we're no match for you, but we won't help you destroy this universe and all the work we've done to secure its safety. Hallgrim's hand slipped her into Asher's and he grabbed Florgo around the shoulders, as Hume and Oryx linked arms and joined with Asher. Florgo reached for Kellen to join them, giving her one last chance. Friend Kellen, you are part of us, despite your incorrect evaluations of us, Hume said with a smile. I saw the feelings you had of us when you put them into me. Idealised, loving, perfect in your estimation then. I wonder what has changed. She knocked Florgo's reach away with a backhand and a silent glare. Fine then, Oryx said. Do it. Yeah, you fucking bitch. If you're going to slaughter your friends and family, best to do it and get it over with, Hallgrim sneered, wanting to kill her where she stood. With a last look, Raph raised her arms, each of them feeling the rise of static above them. She would open a portal and remove them all from existence. But there was hesitation. A look over this almost perfect group. Could she accept this 98% of success? Could she accept less than the perfection she was capable of? Were they the problem? Doot's voice rang in her head. You can't be part of it because you'll bring nothing but chaos. The rift vanished. Did anyone else hear that? Hallgrim asked. Blood poured from Kellen's nose, running down her mouth and chin. She collapsed in a heap, falling straight down, gravity taking her. Asher rushed to her, picking her up and cradling her in her arms. But Kellen Amray was dead. A golden rift opened behind them and a gold woman in a burgundy doublet stepped through, looking them all over before her eyes fell to Kellen. Oh, Kellen, she whispered. She didn't hurt any of you, did she? No. Are you here to take her? Asher sobbed. Doot smiled and nodded at her. This universe is Hallie Swiftfeather, a fearsome leader with nothing but love in her heart. Then to their Heath, their Lionel, their Tabor, their Blotch. She understood why Kellen fought so hard for them. She pulled a small vial from her doublet and opened it, placing it close to Kellen's mouth. A breath of gold left her lungs and floated into the vial, and Doots closed the topper. She gave a wink and salute to her friends, well, versions of her friends, and stepped back through the portal. 3 months later. Where you want this? Hallgrim held out a file to Ash, who was quiet behind the desk that once belonged to her mother, her hands clasped together as she looked out the window. The bare helm of Raff sat on the desk, and Hallgrim knew what it meant when she brought the helm back out. She was brooding. Some plan or threat she was calculating, weighing heavily on her mind. Sometimes he longed for when that brooding was about how to get back at him for one of his filth-laden insults. But remembering the danger they were involved in, he couldn't say he really missed it. He knew, though, that Asher was plagued by thoughts of Kellen, not really understanding what had happened to her that day. Had she sacrificed herself in a moment of clear thought? Had that beautiful Oscar statue made flesh killed her? Was it the disease, or the sheer effects and pressure of her hatred? Not knowing was almost worse than not understanding, even if the answer wouldn't be pleasant. They had talked about something being missing from their lives for a few weeks now, and because the pair... They had talked about something being missing from their lives, and because the pair were young, in love, and obviously didn't value tranquility or their own personal time or sense of self, the pair had often thought about trying to have children again. But whatever Kellen had done to their past selves had prevented them from achieving it, no matter how they had tried. And Lords...
Doggy style.
And Lords above, they had tried, in various different styles.
Yeah!
Hallgrim
tried it in the butt once just to see, maybe.
Just to see.
You never
just
know.
to see.
Maybe that'll do it.
Hallgrim smirked. Then the work took over, and their confrontation with Kellen had happened, and they had forgotten about family. They were enough for each other. But just then, Asher looked up and handed a grey plastic stick with a plus symbol on it to him. I thought, he said, thinking about how he'd have to delete his own porn collection now. Nah, he had passwords for a reason.
Put it in the cool stuff folder.
Cool stuff version 2. Asher nodded. I know, me too, but she pointed at the stick. Could it have been one last little gift from her sister? Hallgrim went behind her desk and embraced her. What now? He asked. Well, I've already got a suitable name picked out. She patted the helm on her desk. If this was a television show, this is where the camera would lower and zoom on the bare helm on the desk, lingering just long enough that you would wonder if this was a good thing or the beginning of the end of the universe. The end.
God damn!
Oh, it's always so bittersweet with you.
Yeah, Rich, you're a fuck, number one. Number two, that was amazing.
That was great.
I added all the Kellen being a baddie stuff about, like, at 3 o'clock in the morning, because I was like, no, we're gonna have a nice one where Kellen's gonna just put it the way it is, but the bittersweet bit is gonna be like that she just can't join them, and she just has to give up.
Yeah.
And then I was like, no, she wouldn't do that. She's Wrath, and Wrath was a psycho at the end. She would have to try and be part of it. And then I made her a psychopath.
She couldn't have escaped being Wrath. That couldn't have been the fun ending, the happy ending we all got.
No. Now it's like, will it just start over again?
Yeah,
Who even fucking
that's
knows?
bitter as fuck, actually.
I feel like this ending reflects how I felt about this story in general.
Like it's never gonna end.
Never gonna end. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So I'll just leave a half stopper on the bottle, and yeah.
That's great. I love that.
That was wild, man.
Oh, good.
I was enraptured.
Yeah, there's a long period where we didn't say anything.
Yeah,
we were just fucking
yeah.
listening quietly.
It's a typical epilogue in that there's hardly any jokes in it. Like the last one I did, it was just sad.
Yeah, that's the end of the season, right? Like mine doesn't have a lot of jokes.
Yeah, mine doesn't either.
It can't.
Yeah, stuff has to happen, right?
You got to put a full stop at the end of it, right?
It's got to have closure.
Yeah, that's definitely what mine
Even
does,
though yours doesn't.
Yeah.
It does to a certain extent, though, right?
It does.
You've done a sort of like crossroads type.
You've looped back, right? Yeah. The forward momentum has stopped.
Sure.
That did sound a little bad. I didn't mean it that way.
what we've been doing for the past 52 weeks has been meaningless.
No, I absolutely love that ending. It was like the perfect bittersweet ending to that story.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, I didn't quite know what to do with Kellen right at the end, and then I was like, well, why do I have to say what she's done?
Yeah.
That's true.
Why do I have
you
to
get
say?
to choose what the audience learns.
Yeah, but I did change my plan that I've held in my head for a year.
You know, actually, I did too.
That's crazy, isn't it?
I didn't change it while writing this, but I decided over the past few weeks what I was going to change.
Yeah.
Yes, I too think ahead.
I felt like a real Josh.
Josh and
I too have thought about this.
Josh was writing his story while he and I were just making endless jokes about 2000s era rap at the same exact time.
We were talking about jibs and chingy, and I'm like typing away.
Yeah, he's writing a real story, and I'm like, you remember fucking Petey Pablo?
All right, I am done.
Forever?
I am done with this season, and I could not be more happy. But I will come back for part 2 to listen to my friends tell their stories, and you should too. So I'll see you in a bit.
Do I need to come back?
Welcome back to part 2, people. It's all been building to this horror book you've been listening to over the past 52 weeks. The conclusion is drawing in like a cold hand around your throat.
Coming!
Wow.
So let's head over to Spooky Vision.
The title of my story is The Final Days of the New Spooky Squad.
No!
AKA the guitar part from The Final Countdown by Europe, but really, really loud. Jason Grace stood just outside of the door to his beaten-up old RV, speculating on whether or not it would get him to his second year of college upstate in one piece or not. While surveying the rust belt around the under chassis, which rivaled the rust belt around your mama's under chassis, he heard a small, familiar voice behind him, which broke him from his reverie. "Do you have to go today?" Archie Grace said solemnly, his baseball cap drooping down low over his eyes. He held his prized baseball bat over his shoulder, given to him by Jason on his last birthday, and signed by some famous baseball player from whenever you're listening to this. Buck Buckeye, I guess. I don't know.
Buckeye!
I'm afraid so, buddy. I'm probably going to be late for the start of classes as it is, and I can't fail if I don't show up, Jason said with a smirk. Then he dropped the smirk and tilted his head to the side. Wait. No, I get what you're saying, Archie said with a slight smile and a chuckle. He'd always liked it when Jason played dumb for a bit. Though sometimes maybe it wasn't a bit. We've all had friends like that. I've got 2 of them.
Hey!
Who's he talking about?
Those guys from college, probably.
Either way,
The guy who shit his pants?
that was high school. Either way, the smile on his face was fleeting. I just thought Jason slung his bag off of his shoulder up into the RV, letting it land haphazardly in the middle of the peeling old linoleum flooring that was yellow due to age, and only age, he stressed to everyone who saw it. Probably too much, though, you know? Like, it's so much that it's making it seem way more likely that he had just pissed like a fire hose into it for years.
This ain't got nothing to do with piss.
Just don't mention it, you know? What do you think? You didn't hurt your brain trying to form a thought, did you? Ha ha, Archie said flatly, trying to hide the smile that crept onto his face again. He forced it off as fast as he could, almost resenting Jason in that moment for trying to make him laugh at a time like this. He dug the heel of his shoe into the dirt idly for a moment before he spoke again. I thought we could play some ball before you left. Just like some catch or batting practice or something. It wouldn't take that long. Jason sat down on the bottom step that led up to the RV, rubbing his neck absent-mindedly for a moment before shaking his head. I'm sorry, Arch, but I've really got to get going. We'll play as soon as I get back for spring break, though, okay? You promise? You gotta promise, because guys your age are always going off to spring break to get boozed up and find a loose floozy to park it in. That's what Mom's always saying, Archie said sagely. What the Jason stopped himself from cursing, which must be a pretty huge shock to the audience of this podcast. But it showed how much he was trying to be a good influence on his little brother. No, I'm not going to go to spring break or whatever. I get boozed up enough during school. I can come play baseball instead. Maybe even boozed up. We'll see.
Multitask.
Archie smiled a pained smile and nodded before running up and wrapping his arms around his brother tightly. I'm gonna really miss you. I know that's cringe, bro, but no cap. Jesus, Jason said in response to the Gen Alpha
cringe.
slang slinging.
What's no cap?
It's no lie. When you're capping, you're lying.
Just fucking kill them all.
Why is it that?
Because black people said it.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah, and then it got ruined. Yeah, I get it.
Jesus, Jason said in response to the Gen Alpha slang slinging, but returned his little brother's hug. I'm gonna miss when you didn't talk like that.
Yeah.
The two hugged in silence for a moment before they broke apart and Archie turned to walk away. He stopped after a few steps and looked back over his shoulder. Remember, you promised. I'll remember, Jason said with a smirk curling the edge of his lip up. He sat there for a minute or two watching his little brother walk down the sidewalk, back towards their childhood home, his baseball cap slung low over his eyes and his bat flung high over his shoulder. That was the last time he ever saw him. This flashback was brought to you by the good people at the horrific searing pain of being ran through by a 6-foot-long metal bone blade from a gigantic, disgusting, experimental Cricket Man organization.
Oh, I love their stuff.
But not like the original one, but like a souped-up, horrid clone monster version without a mind of its own and shit. You listen to the show, you get it.
He's right, I do.
Jason was dangling from the blood-drenched biological arm blade of Unit 02, his hands digging into the blade, bloodied to try to keep his muscle and bone tissue from giving way, and slicing his arm and shoulder socket completely off of his body. He kicked his legs for footing, but found nothing, his body just loosely dangling from the long, recurved metal mass. God damn, dude! Alyssa Madero yelled, shocked. Oh, shit, Kayla S. Hunter muttered under her breath. Holy free holies! Dev cried out dweebily.
Dweebily.
Do something, damn it! Alyssa screamed out at Rio, who was standing a short ways away in his transformed insectoid horror form, blades extended out of his elongated chitinous arms at the ready. Oh yeah, I'll do something, Rio's voice reverberated from somewhere deep within his form, as if it was being projected outward by some kind of sound system rather than coming from his mouth, which was currently a chittering mass of mandibles and bladed teeth, so probably not best at like the O's and the M's. Just as soon as every one of you apologizes for agreeing to murder me because you thought I did all that shit and it turned out the clone did it.
Oh, God.
Are you fucking kidding me right now? Kayla interjected, grasping tighter onto her cane sword to keep the desire to tear it into him under control. TK Kanzaki watched high in the air above, held aloft by her own thoughts, her own will, transfixed at what was happening below. She had been shocked into inaction by the violence inflicted upon her new friend down there, far out of her reach. Her mental energies, however, tore and ripped at the flickering digital body of Nil, who groaned and spit from the intense pain that she was somehow able to inflict upon him, even though he no longer had a living body to feel it.
Yeah, fuck you, Neil.
You are going to lose, Miss Kanzaki. I am going to become perfection. Far below, Alyssa and Dev exchanged glances for a moment, and then turned back to Kayla, who rolled her eyes hard, then silently agreed. All three of them, in unison, let out an extremely unenthusiastic, "We're sorry." For what it's worth, Rio, Jason sputtered, blood oozing out of his mouth and down his chin with the strain of trying to speak. I am genuinely sorry for everything. Damn, Rio's voice echoed from within his overlarge heaving chest plate. Apology accepted. Tears welled in Dev's eyes as the sense of helplessness overwhelmed him. But like a bolt of lightning, suddenly inspiration hit him. He turned and ran away from the group, dropping down on his knees and sliding across two sets of tiles on the blinding white reflected floor of the white room to stop exactly next to the open tile where he had hacked the system once before. He snapped the connection cable from out of his computer watch and slipped it back into the side of the small terminal beneath the floor once more, and began furiously pressing buttons on the small calculator watch face. Just gotta reroute power again, turn the system back on but localize it, send a nastygram to its home box, try to shut down the remote interface, and... Security system activated. Localized gravimetric pressure re-engaging. A feminine computer voice echoed from the small computer watch on his wrist. A voice that eagle-eared? I put a little question mark there. Listeners might notice was one of the Critical Role voice actresses.
Of course.
I don't fucking know which one. I don't watch that show. But the one that's got the sexiest voice, I guess. Betty? I think one of them is named Betty.
That's Archie comic books?
I probably should have done at least a cursory Google search about this before I started typing. Hold on, I'll do that now. Laura Bailey, I guess. She looks cute.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
The tile on the floor underneath Unit 02 and the dangling, skewered Jason began to hum and glow with a definite red tinge to the light as the security system began to activate underneath their feet. The massive dark carapace of the cricket beast shifted in place to look down into the glowing redness developing below it, and what probably amounts to shock on your face if it's made out of overlapping biological armor and mandibles.
Mine is?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hit so close to home. But only a second later, the light shut off, crackling and sparking electricity pouring out of the module that Dev had plugged into to control. Security system offline. System recognizes Unit 02 as asset and will not engage without highest clearance. Laura Bailey's digital voice said from inside the calculator watch on Dev's wrist. Oh, doo-doo, Dev huffed out weakly, turning his eyes back towards the towering, monstrous Unit 02 just in time to see the beast turning its gigantic, glassy, segmented insect eyes directly towards him. Oh, double doo-doo! Wait, no! Rio cried out, bounding off of his back foot towards Unit 02 with his bladed arm flashing in the light, moving as fast as his inhuman body could take him. But Unit 02 was on Dev almost instantly, dragging Jason's dangling, blood-soaked body behind him like a fluttering cloak in the wind. The near-mindless killing machine had drawn his blade up into the air and flashed it down across Dev's stomach so quickly that only the blood trail sailing through the air left any evidence of its violent work. Dev's scream filled the auditorium-sized room to its brink, drawing every pair of eyes in the room towards him. He gripped his hands tightly over the bloody gash across his midsection, laying on the floor in the fetal position, wailing in agony beyond which most people would ever feel in their entire lives. Rio's arm blade pierced into the wide armored back of his clone a moment too late, at least stopping the horrific beast from striking at the helpless Dev a second time. Jason's blood boiled in his veins as he watched his smaller, weaker, virginer friend laying there on the ground, blood seeping into the white floor around him, screaming bloody murder. He felt every ounce of rage he'd ever held back in his entire life, over his father's horrible parenting, over his dreams never mattering, over how others dealt with his sexuality, but mostly over his brother's fate. All burned through him like he'd been lit on fire from the inside out. Before he could register the blinding pain it was causing him, he drew the axe that had been dangling in his hand from his limp arm back up into the air one more time. And with the strength he couldn't have mustered even without a 6-foot piece of metal bisecting him, he drove the silver-tipped axe head down into Unit 02's screeching, chittering maw, sinking it down all the way to the wooden haft of the axe before he stopped driving it inward, a scream of pure raging hatred escaping his lungs as he did. The silver instantly went to work on the twisted, mutated being, burbling and bubbling inside with a heat so searing that it began to boil him alive from the inside out. Yeah. Blood, guts, flesh, bone, everything began to overflow out of Unit 02's open, screeching face. He's killed it! Kayla screamed. Huh?
That's called sevening.
Ugh. He's killed it! Kayla screamed out in shock and happiness. But the monster, burning alive as it was from the touch of the silver in its bleeding gullet, drew whatever inhuman strength was left within its boiling carapace to draw the bladed arm that wasn't still holding Jason aloft, back at a distance, and then drive the metal straight through Jason's chest, almost all the way down to the edge of its own bubbling flesh. The room was suddenly deathly silent, save for the sound of metal sluicing through the meat. The monster's drawing its bladed arm back out of Jason and driving into it over and over and over again. They all watched in stunned, surreal horror as Jason's pin-cushioned body slid off the end of the screeching monster's blade and dropped in a heap of blood and viscera onto the floor, sending a splay of blood out in every direction from the heavy thud of its landing. Rio screeched out in burning, raging hatred himself, driving his other arm's blade deep into the rapidly burning body of Unit 02 and through the other side. With pure, unmitigated, violent hate in him, Rio ripped his inhuman clone in half, sending a fountain spray of red-hot, burbling blood and guts into the air as if a firework had gone off in red and pink. Both halves of the body skidding wetly across the tile floor before melting into cascading, lifeless goo. "Jason!" Dev screamed ruefully, holding a blood-soaked hand out towards his limp body. Alyssa and Kayla started to run towards Jason's body then. Dev slowly tried to crawl across the floor to do just the same, but they did not even get halfway. Far above them, the jittering, pained form of Nil threw his hand down towards the ground below, the entire room beginning to shake and spasm at his digital command. Each tile on the floor then shot upwards into the air at different speeds, to different heights, creating hundreds of towers of metal, wiring, and machinery, which chugged and grinded and worked at the behest of their glitching, ghostly master far above. Each tower shot up directly between the members of the new spooky squad, blocking them off from one another and isolating them from helping in any way. 1 minute until self-destruct, Nil's shuddering mechanical voice rattled off. It is over. You monster! You fucking disgusting murderer! Freakish thing! I'll... TK's voice was thundering, ringing inside of everyone's head instead of carried on the wind. She grasped her head with both hands and began to shudder from the uncontrollable emotions welling inside of her. Rage, fear, sadness, and loss swirled around and around inside of her and threatened to overwhelm her very being. TK! Alyssa screamed out from far below, her hands cupped around her mouth to carry her voice. Suddenly there was another feeling welling within TK, a desperate, singular need to protect what she loved more than anything in this world. 45 seconds until Nil began, but was instantly cut off. A deafening silence stopped everything in the room in its tracks. Everyone living felt every muscle in their bodies seized up at once, and no one could move, no one could speak, except for TK, who threw her head back and splayed her arms out in the air on either side of her, screaming so loudly that the sound of her voice nearly blew out the eardrums out of everyone who existed within a several-mile radius.
That would have been bad.
The white room, the machinery and wiring and metal of the newly erected towers below, the long hallway that had led them there, the foyer beyond it, full of fine rugs and mahogany wood, the laboratories even beyond that, full of hateful abominations and man-made souls. All of it began to split at the seams. Any gap in their structure simply lifted and separated from one another under the unseen force emanating from deep inside of TK Kanzaki at the center of all of it. It was no explosion. It was methodical, even though it was near instant. It was a disassembling, a personal ripping apart of everything the Arclay Mansion was, everything that Gestalt had built there. Everything beyond the living within that house of horrors that Nil had built. And in that moment, molecule from molecule, bit from bit, Nil was rended asunder, stripped apart at the very stitch in the fabric of its being, leaving absolutely nothing in its wake. And when that moment had passed, the remaining members of the new Spooky Squad found themselves standing in the middle of an untouched ring of floor, surrounded by the blown outward shards, splinters, and remains of the Arclay Mansion, the rising sun in the distance now glowing dimly upon them in the open air. Dev, pain and disbelief on his youthful features. Kayla, in pure shock at seeing something that even she had never imagined in her wildest dreams. Alyssa, tears welling in her eyes and her heart pounding out of her chest like a sledgehammer. They all watched, speechless and wide-eyed, as TK slowly descended from the open sky down towards them. Her boots touched the scuffed, burned ground softly, and she walked with an ethereal sense of power and purpose over to where Dev lay on the ground. She knelt down next to him, her eyes no longer black and inky with the power of her mind clouded by uncontrollable force, but now glowing with an otherworldly white that radiated a calm that Dev could feel in his bones. "This will hurt, but I'll try my best to make it hurt as little as I can," TK said softly to Dev, laying her hand on his gaping, bloody stomach wound. The force of her mind, like 100 hands, worked in tandem, slowly closing the wound up through the force of thought, causing Dev to cry out in pain all at once. Alyssa and Kayla, shocked into action finally, began to ran over towards TK and Dev to find out what the flying fuck was even going on now. "It's done," TK said softly, withdrawing her hand from the sutured wound at Dev's midsection. Tears ran down the young man's face as he adjusted his glasses to see the handiwork of his otherworldly friend. Thank you?" Dev managed to whimper out. "TK!" Alyssa cried once more, charging up behind her love just in time to catch her falling body. All of the power within TK now drained and dispersed, causing her to nearly pass out, landing heavily into Alyssa's arms just as she dropped to her knees alongside her. "What the fuck is going on?" Kayla screamed out. "We won," TK whispered, her eyes opening only slightly to look at her friends with unclouded vision once more. Rio, now human again, draped his overcoat back over his tattered body, closing it tightly around the waist as he ran up to join the others. "We still have to get out of..." But there was no moment to celebrate their triumph. The jittering, distant, unanchored voice that filtered into their ears all at once, making certain of that. 5 seconds until self-destruct.
It's Max Headroom.
Today, Junior?
The untethered voice of Nil announced to all their sudden horror. No! Dev screamed, barely having time to get those words out. But 4. We can't die now! Kayla yelled through gritted teeth. 3. The digitized voice cried out suddenly in its approximation of pain. The sound of flesh and blood meeting steel resounded in the dead air of the creeping morning. As all eyes turned towards the center of the remaining untouched white room, at the very epicenter of the blast zone, the discarded human body that Nil had left behind when he was digitized, the corpse of Dr. Alexander Peace, slumped over in his chair with wiring flowing out of his back and neck, now set with a fireman's axe driven deeply into the top of its decaying skull, congealed old blood running down its hollowed-out features. And weakly standing over top of it, hands shaking as it could barely grasp the axe handle, was Jason Grace, covered in blood and viscera, and swaying with weakness back and forth on his unsteady feet. He's really dead now. Fucking prick, he weakly whispered. Jason, what the fuck? Alyssa cried out all at once. You're alive! Oh, thank the motherboard, you're alive! Dev cried out in pure happiness. How the fuck did you know how to do that? Kayla pointedly asked, her head spinning from all the sudden plot shifts over the past couple pages. He stopped me from doing that when I first got here. He said he didn't need his body anymore, but why would he give a shit if I dismembered it if he didn't? Jason explained, wobbling unsteadily on his feet. Kayla helped Dev to his feet, and Alyssa did the same for TK, the entire group trying to make their way weakly over to where Jason was to provide him with some kind of support, whatever they had left at this point. By the way, Jason dropped to his knees, blood spewing out of his mouth like a fountain at this point. Thank you all for... By the time they had made it over to him, he had collapsed onto his chest, sending another splay of blood out across what was left of the reflective white floor. They leaned over him and cried out to him, one after another, but he couldn't make out what they were saying anymore. Their voices were a distant hum which lulled into sleep, a comfort he felt deep in his bones as he slipped away. Archie was walking away from him in his RV, his head low and his baseball cap pulled down over his eyes, his bat slung over his shoulder. Jason watched as he walked away down the street back towards the house they had grown up in together. He stood up slowly, feeling the weight of the world shuffle off his shoulders as he did, and jogged the distance between himself and his little brother. Archie looked up to him with a burgeoning smile, bright as the morning sun, and Jason planted his hand on his little brother's shoulder and walked off into the long-gone distance, together. They were going to play baseball. He's dead, Alyssa said soberly, withdrawing her fingers from Jason's cold, pallid neck. She stood up to stand alongside Dev, TK, and Alyssa, who held each other tightly, and Kayla, all of them staring down at him in solemn silence. The 5 of them together slowly worked their way through the rubble of the Arclay mansion, back out the way they came to the front driveway. It took a long time. They were all so exhausted from their horrific ordeal they could barely walk, let alone push through detritus and destruction. So by the time they had made it back to where they started, the morning sun had risen enough to bathe the surrounding forest in a new golden glow. They stopped in the driveway in front of the destroyed building, finding one last awful surprise waiting for them. My car! Where's my fucking car? Alyssa screamed out, gawking and gesturing in complete confusion at the completely empty driveway before them. I parked it right fucking here. She paused, the horrible truth suddenly dawning on her. That fucking rat bastard detective! Filcher what the fuck ever! He stole my car when he left! That's a new low, Kayla groaned out, placing her face in the palm of her open hands. Just stranding us here? That's a new low, even for him. He stole my fucking car, I'll kill him! Alyssa raged on, fist balled up at her sides. TK watched absently across the open field they stood at the edge of, catching sight of the slowly flittering wings of butterflies above the grass line. Two of them, brightly colored and shining in the golden ambience, fluttered around one another and landed softly on a deep red orchid at the edge of the field, the same kind that she and Alyssa had cultivated together in their little flower shop. All of that felt so long ago, so distant from all this. She smiled with a soft, weary smile. "We're alive," she said softly, placing her hand on Alyssa's arm. "We're together." The two of them embraced, intertwining their arms around one another as if the world had melted away and all that existed in it was the two of them in that moment. They kissed, for the first time in years, and it was as if both were taking their first drink of water after having lived wandering a desert for all that time. It was as if their very souls were replenished, that the wounds they didn't even know they carried were slowly closing the longer they held on to one another. Dev stared off into the distance, holding the closed wound on his stomach tightly, his eyes glassy and sunken. He got what he wanted, you know. Kayla interrupted his deep thought, snapping him back to reality. She gripped the bottom of her shirt and ripped it off, force of her pulling it, revealing the bottom of her bosoms, which is a required word in this story, or else I'd never use it. I'm not fucking 90 years old, Grandpa. We call them big naturals these days. Which Dev had to avert his eyes from quickly. She sighed ruefully at that and tugged the remaining shirt down further. "Well, what do you mean?" Dev asked, quieting his raging hormones. She wrapped the fabric around Dev's midsection, tying it as tightly as she could at the ends to create a makeshift tourniquet. "I have no idea personally if this is good medically or will cause your whole lower body to fall off, dick and all. But this isn't real, so it's probably fine." Jason got exactly what he wanted. He wanted revenge on whoever killed his brother. That crazy son of a bitch got that and got to be the big hero at the end. It's pretty good for a raging testosterone factory, I say. Dev wiped his arm across his eyes, trying his hardest not to cry in front of someone so strong and cool.
And underboobed.
He smiled a half-hearted smile and looked down at the ground. "I'm glad I could help him, though. He was really cool." His last words cracking as he half-laughed with tears streaming down his face. "Beep, beep!" The sound shot them all to attention, TK and Alyssa even stopping sucking face at the intrusion. Ow, ow. They all turned their eyes down the long driveway they had come in on, to the edge of the woods they had driven up through. Driving through them down that long, winding road was a large black Jeep with a soft top and larger than usual wheels. On the front of the bumper was a set of longhorn steer horns mounted on the side. Kayla withdrew her cane sword and brandished it as she stepped in front of the entire group. She used her body to block the path up towards the front of the house and looked back at them with a stern look on her weathered features. "Get behind me and stay behind me. I didn't do shit to protect you kids. I should have done, and I'm not making that mistake again." They all followed orders, TK and Alyssa helping Dev to keep standing and moving around behind Kayla. The Jeep was moving so fast there wasn't a whole lot of time to set an attention. It wound its way up the long driveway and slowed its ascent when it got close enough to spot all of them standing in front of the rubble. The Jeep coasted up in front of them, sitting silently and idling loudly. The tension in each of the remaining squad threatened to burst them at any moment. Enter your mama joke here.
Yeah!
There's too much tension in the story at the moment to interrupt it. Finally, the driver's side door of the Jeep flung open, and out stepped a huge, imposing figure. He stood over 6 feet tall and had a white 10-gallon hat atop his head. He wore a bolo tie, a country and western shirt tucked haphazardly under his gut, and a full pair of cowboy boots, complete with metal spurs that clinked as he walked. He slid his sunglasses down his broad nose and peered over them at the assembled group. "What in tarnation has gone on here, kids? Y'all blow this place to the bejesus and back, or am I just whistling Dixie here?" The kitted out urban cowboy said with raised eyebrow. "Fuck. Who the fuck wants to know, boss hog?" Kayla growled out at him. "Wait just a darn minute. Don't I know you?" "Oh, wait, sorry. Wait a minute. Don't I know you?" Dev asked weakly, his own eyebrow raising over his Coke bottle lenses. "Wait, you're right. Shooey. You're that Weasley kid from the Harbury Industry Park job. That Hawk feller had you on ice for some reason or another. I pulled quite an escape that day, I'll tell you what. It was plumb wild." The heavyset southerner guffawed and slapped his knee like a cartoon yokel in an offensive cartoon. Okay, what the fuck is going on now? Alyssa demanded angrily. Well, sorry there, little missy. I suppose some introductions in order. My name's Cowboy Bob, and I'm with the FBI. We've been working on busting Gestalt for going on 10 years at this point, and it looks like you fellers broke in here and busted them up right from under our noses, Cowboy Bob guffawed once more. Who'd have thought the most secret criminal organization on the mainland would be taken asunder by a bunch of meddling kids?
Oh my god.
And a ghost, too. TK looked back sadly towards the destruction she had wrought behind her, feeling completely hollowed out at the thought of Dips being gone. She looked at the ground for a moment before looking back to the group, who were all reflecting the same sadness she felt back to her. Well, I don't know what the fuck that rightly means, but hop on in. I'll give y'all a ride back to civilization as heroes, Cowboy Bob.
In, like, Connecticut?
Cowboy Bob says that... Cowboy Bob has been in 3 stories before, by the way, if you don't remember.
Yeah, I remember Cowboy Bob.
Cowboy Bob said with a wide, toothy smile and a flourished wave towards his Jeep. A 1970s soft rock song starts to play over the muted footage of the characters all getting into the Jeep and going home. A voiceover kicks in over top of it, cool and calm and reflective. Possibly voiced by the narrator from the Wonder Years, but I guess we'll see. That was the last time we were all together as a group. The experience had bonded us together for a lifetime, but sometimes life gets in the way, and everyone eventually drifts apart. TK Kanzaki had made peace with her past, and what she was, finally. She wasn't afraid of the power that dwelled inside of her, never worried about it again. She was truly whole, for the first time in her life. Alyssa Madero made peace with her past as well, finally telling TK about her checkered time as a motorcycle gang member. Whatever crimes that implies, I don't really know. I never watched Sons of Anarchy.
Math. It's always math.
The two of them returned to Kirby, Connecticut and reopened Dos Chicas Flower Shop together, which thrived beyond all expectations. Eventually they were married, surrounded by the beautiful flowers they had grown together.
Aww.
Dev Durwood III became the nation's leading figure in cryptozoology, which pays a hell of a lot better than you would imagine, with all the con appearances and basic cable TV shows they kept throwing at him. His dreams of showing the world the truth of cryptids came true when he released his #1 New York Times best-selling book, One Crazy Summer, My Adventures with the New Spooky Squad. It beat out the Candle Cousins' 36th novel. Peggy Rickenbacker cried about it. I don't know what the hell happened with Kayla S. Hunter and her disgusting little gnome sidekick. They weren't really part of the squad, so I never really bothered to learn much about them. Whatever, I always say. Unfortunately, Dips did die, but he's a ghost, so it was probably fine. Oh, me? Well, my name is Peebo Bryson. No, not that one. A different one. And I was actually there the entire time, but nobody actually spoke to me, so it never came up. The end. Ryo Tachibana will return in Shin Kaijin Killer Cricket Man, the movie, All Cryptids War versus Lord Shark.
Holy shit. That was incredible.
Thank you.
That was amazing.
Thank you so much.
That was very good.
Holy shit.
Jason.
Yeah, you just couldn't help but kill the redhead, huh?
Yeah. I was like,
Wow.
What would make the world better?
Wow.
That was what I kind of changed my mind about.
Hold on, let me change some characters' names here real quick. In my story.
Right.
Jeff.
You already had me and Rich die. We were robots.
Yeah, we were.
Bing Bong Pennington.
Right. That's what they call me. Now, that's what I changed my mind about was Jason dying. Like, I was like, a few weeks ago, I was like trying to figure out like what exactly was going to happen in the last episode. And I was like, you know, I need to figure out some sort of like, heartfelt, like meaningful ending for Jason. Like, where does that character end? I was going to let him live, but I was like, I don't think that brings his storyline to a close correctly.
Man, you gotta watch. I know we were just talking about this yesterday, but you gotta watch Boardwalk Empire because there's a very similar thing that happens in
Steve Buscemi plays a black man and cucks a white couple.
That's exactly what I was talking about. Yep.
He's a good enough actor.
Steve Buscemi is a cryptozoologist. Broadbug Empire. I
ain't buying your booze, Cricket Man.
I don't see how Jason's story could have ended any other way. Simply because
great.
He was so full of rage for so long, it just burns away what he...
It was really weird seeing you and RX be like, yeah, Jason's definitely gonna die. I was like, I literally decided on that like 5 days ago.
I thought that too. Yeah. I just didn't tell anybody.
Like, I decided on it less than a week before you guys were discussing it. I was like, oh, damn. I guess that's a good decision.
Well, it's that thing, isn't it? We've talked about it a few times about, like, if you can see something coming or something where the author is gonna, or creator is gonna have that inevitable choice, it just means they've laid the breadcrumbs right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely true.
Yeah.
It's the art of it is also knowing the story, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know. Like, yeah, I think it's great. I love that.
Like, I wrote Jason and Archie walking off to play baseball together, and I was like, damn, that hurt my own heart. So
I'm gonna play with 2 players, Jeff.
They're tossing the ball around. They're batting practice.
Is Dips gonna be the ghost man, literally and figuratively?
Dips is in whatever happens after you die now. I don't know.
Wow, dude, I'm a double ghost.
Yeah, I died twice, bro.
I hope I come back as a surfboard.
I'm sorry how often I peek the mic in this one. I guess you guys are just gonna have to deal with that.
I don't know, dude. We got shit to take care of. The editor will fix it. He's got it.
I trust the editor, the nameless editor of this podcast.
Yeah, he also has a huge dick. And
I've heard about
that.
Yeah,
just incredibly handsome.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god.
I'd be proud to know him.
It's too bad none of us do.
He's very real and very handsome.
Do you really know any editor though?
No, I suppose not. They're all just liars when it comes to it, really.
What is this now? What's this trope now?
TVtropes.com.
We got redheads are all angry.
No one was talking about
liars.
gingers. You make everything about
Don't, Jeff. He'll just get angry again.
It's true.
Look,
they're always getting so angry.
I'm gonna take my anger and put it to use and drink a bottle of whiskey like a healthy person would do.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it was great.
Thank you.
You couldn't have killed off any other 2 characters.
Yes,
and I would have felt as sad about it, which is weird because I love TK and I love Dev. But if you had have killed them, I would have understood. But you killed Jason, you killed Dips, and those were the characters that I would have felt sad about. And you picked the right people.
You played the song perfectly.
Yeah,
thank you. Thank you, guys.
Perfectly well played.
I appreciate that because when I created TK and Alyssa, you could tell from the first time they interact, the plot line of these 2 characters is that they are going to get back together. They're going to find each other again.
Yeah, and you can't kill your gays.
No.
Yeah.
I did kill A.
Although you did kill a gay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's a redhead, so who really cares?
The redhead is stronger than gay?
Yeah.
Gay for redheads, so I don't know how that works. Oh, man.
I think, I've heard just anecdotally that Hitler really picked he really put at the top of the list the redhead Jews and the redhead Romanis and the redhead gays.
It's definitely... Well, one of those can happen. So
Rich has heard this through some sort of information exchange that he doesn't want to talk about.
What? I mean, what are you talking about?
Was you sprechen?
I don't know if it's good that Rich liked my story now. You know what I'm saying?
Do you know, I love a bittersweet ending. I love it. The thing you did that was really good was that you had high stakes all through the episode, all through the series, but you did that thing again when it crumbles and when it's resolved, no one fucking cares. It's just the personal stakes. and no one knows that they've done anything. And
No.
that, waking up the next day, if you take one step on, that would be soul-destroying for everyone that's involved in that. They've got to just live with the trauma of it.
I guess that is.
And we
well,
never talk about
They
that.
have each other for a while, I guess. Although I did say that was the last time they were all together, but I meant that mostly as Kayla fucked off and never had to do it again.
They don't have like a Spooky Squad reunion, and then that I would
Maybe.
at a Renaissance fair.
That was the final. That was the final day of the new Spooky Squad.
You tricked us into thinking they were all gonna die.
Yeah, it's what a good story does.
You fucking fuck.
I heard that all authors are liars.
Yeah.
Yeah, brown hair having
Wow.
fucking normal ass.
It's just like a redhead to make everything about hair color, isn't it?
I'm gonna edit that out. I mean, the editor.
I think they call that affirmative action.
Shut it off. Fucking shut it off.
Jesus Christ. I still gotta read my story after all this? Holy shit.
All right, that's enough of our horseplay. We'll be back
Horsecock.
for part 3. Welcome back to part 3 of Storylords, the podcast that always has ginger people's backs.
If you want to ginge it up, then you should be allowed to.
Yeah.
God damn it.
It's only your own sense of self, anger, and importance that's stopping you from being your best self. Anywho, I'll
Also, the
tangent
red
that.
hair.
So let's segue slightly. It's time to go to Daranos.
Yeah, the redheaded stepchild of the show. Okay, my episode this week, last week of the season of Butterflies and Bosoms, is called D-Day, Operation Butterfly.
Nice. That's already a ding. You don't even have to have butterflies in the
You
story
don't have to
now.
worry anymore.
I think I found a loophole, boys. Gunk snuck around a corner of the castle and saw 2 Automabots chatting. I compute a 33% repeating, of course, probability that my wife is cheating on me, said Automabot 35692T. What makes you calculate that probability? Asked Automabot 5932H. I have noticed her becoming distant and emotionless. She no longer laughs, and I believe she has deleted her love of the dance, replied the first bot. Gunk thought quickly. He ran back to Axe's room and found her makeup box, hurriedly applying the most gaudy gold makeup, and then returned to the hallway that led to the Lich's throne room. The bots were still talking. And that is when I found the oil stains, the first bot said again stifling a cry. Gunk extended his arms and started making robot sounds with his mouth.
It's a great
Gunk
plan.
said as he started doing the literal robot down the hallway. I wrote Gunkbot. Now that you mention it, I saw 5932H leaving her charging port the other morning before shift duty, Gunk said, trying to sound as robotic as possible. How could you? 35692T shouted, now clearly very emotional and hurt. To be fair, half of the Legion has waxed that luscious badonka ball, rationalized 5932H. I will kill you, shouted 35692T. He raised his mechanical claw hands and began to choke the life out of his robot friend. The mechanical whirring of his claws was only drowned out by the screams of agony and choking vocalizations of bot 5932H. It's so hard to read these.
You did this to yourself.
Sure did. Classic redhead. As lifelessness left his eyes, the bot finally powered down forever. 35692T heaved and gasped for air. You should get out of here, he said to RoboGunk. You also shouldn't be walking around in Goldface. That is very inappropriate. But I won't tell anyone if you won't tell anyone what went down here. Sounds good. Beep boop, RoboGunk vocalized. Now, to go home and wait for my wife, Sarah. 35692T.
I wrote down those fucking numbers because I thought, he's trying to tell a joke here. They're just fucking random numbers.
They're just random numbers. Well, that was the joke. Here's the genius of Josh Henderson, right? Pause the story. He had to say those numbers over and over again so Sarah would hit as fucking hard as it did.
Yeah. That's
that
when
is
I
so
twigged
good.
that there was nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with those numbers. Continue your fucking story.
Wait, boop, beep. That is really dark. Maybe you should stay with a friend for a while, RoboGunk rationalized. You're right. Can I crash at your place for a few nights, friend? S35692T. Sure, Gunk said, thinking quickly. There is a snake man in my room. He would love to hear all about your marital troubles. Thank you, dearest friend. I owe you one, said 35692T as he wheeled away down the corridor. That was weird, Gunk said in robot. In the Great Hall, the Lich was chanting yet another ancient incantation that was causing the cunt device to spin around like a centrifuge,
Forgot it was
dancing
called,
to that Dead or Alive song.
You spin me right. That's all we can say.
Meat spin. Inside, Demi backed up to the center of the orb and found a spot that wasn't spinning. She stood in the center and looked down. Where the floor of the ball was supposed to be was now a glowing golden light. She felt no heat, but felt a slight vibration. If anyone is going to do some last-minute saving, now would be a good time, she yelled through the orb, her muffled voice barely audible to Ugla and Buffcat, who were still chained up and hanging, waiting to be filleted like delicious salmons.
Love a salmon.
I'm really hungry for salmons. All the mermen and fishmen were now chanting and rocking back and forth. The golden power of their new god surged with their swaying, gaining power through sheer will alone. The Lich bellowed out a spell in an ancient language, and the orb quaked. Below the floating orb was now a thin golden beam bisecting upward into the orb itself. Demi dodged the beam just in time as it shot through the orb and out of the top. Any time now, guys, she yelled. Axwood, show yourself, shouted Dunk as he entered the Great Hall. The fishmen fell silent as the Lich continued to chant. The thin line of gold had now grown to about a 3-inch line of gold. It crackled with... Good description. I was so tired of this. It crackled with vibratory power and thrummed through the heavy megalithic stones of the great castle. Axfood sat up from her mini normal-sized person throne and smiled. Oh, Gunky, you made it to my, our coronation, she said, doing that thing where girls hold their hands out and grab the air for hugsies. You know what I'm talking about, right? I can't let you do this to the kid, Axe, Gunk said, cracking his knuckles. That kid, it's just a kid, Axfoon screamed, losing her composure for just a split second. She's a slave to this monster, Gunk yelled back. The Lich continued his chanting as the fishmen all began to chant along with him again. The golden seam beam was now about the width of my totally real dick's length. So about 18 very real, totally real inches.
God
Don't
damn.
check.
Width?
Yeah.
That's so small.
No, it's as wide as the length.
So it's a chode?
I'll read it again. The golden seam beam was now about the width of my totally real giant dick's length.
Oh. I get it.
Gunk reached behind his massively jacked back and pulled out a flaming sword. Demi's flame sword. This caught the Lich's attention and he abruptly stopped chanting. Necro Witch, deal with this small being, he said, and continued his wordly work. Gunk, she began to try to reason with him. Axe held out her hands and faced them upward as a sign of peace. If we do this, we will never need anyone else again, she said, almost pleading. If we do this, Gunk countered, we will never find ourselves again. Axe Wound stopped. Her fake appeasing smile faded from her face and turned into a disappointed scowl. Her hands now clenched at her sides in balls of rage. You have no idea who I am, Gunk shouted. Axe shouted. Green bolts of rage fire shot from her hair, which was now Gokuing like a Super Saiyan 2 style, defying gravity.
Sick.
Nice.
I am pain. I am rage. I am Axe Wound, queen of the damned and princess of death. I don't need you, small man. I don't need anyone. Gunk gripped the sword tightly and ignited the flame. I know who you are, Axe, Gunk said calmingly. I know who you really are. Axe Wound screamed. The power behind her voice shook the very foundation of the castle. The Lich smiled as he looked down to see his minion losing her goddamn mind. The fishman looked at Axe Wound a fishman looked Axe Wound in the eyes and instantly got a boner so hard it turned the rest of him into Stone Medusa style. Through gritted stone teeth, his final words were, "Worth it," as he was frozen there forever with an embarrassing fish boner for the rest of eternity. In some distant way off future, colonizer archaeologists would find him and place him in a fountain where kids would play and people would throw pennies and make wishes. One thing is for sure, though, everyone would laugh at his tiny fish chode and wonder, what the fuck is up with this fucking statue?
That was magical.
You know nothing! Axe Wound screamed. With a flick of her wrist, several fishmen began to turn to dust and writhe in pain. From their ashes rose their now enslaved souls, which in turn transformed into a giant green hand like the one in that Star Trek episode. I think the name of the episode was Green Hand, Peen Hand. How if you jerk it too much, you turned green from jizz. Don't look it up.
No notes.
The hand grabbed Gunk swiftly and slammed his body down into the stones. Gunk grunted as blood spurted from his mouth. You! Axe Wound shouted in time with the hand slamming down. No! Again she yelled, and the hand slammed down again. Nothing! With this final scream, a single tear fell from her eye. At the same time, Gunk coughed up blackened blood. He could feel several of his ribs broken. Still, he let out a laugh, a defiant laugh. He crawled over to the flame sword and picked it up. As he stood up, he wobbled on his own 2 feet and held the sword out in front of both hands. I haven't used my safe word yet, he said with a laugh. Round 2. Axe Wound screamed again and grabbed her hair in a rage, almost ripping it out of her scalp. This time she simply used some sort of telekinetic force and hurled Gunk toward the ever-expanding golden time seam beam. Gunk hit the beam and immediately began to suck him into a nether dimension that would rival Yo Mama's nether dimension. I'm sure she has a few lost dwarves down there, if you know what I mean. That bitch a nasty hoe. Don't look her up.
I don't know what you mean.
Gunk's bones began to crack and break as he began to be sucked into oblivion. Not the Elder Scrolls Oblivion. We don't want to get sued or fired here. Not again.
So specific. Thank you for clearing that up.
Gunk held the flame sword horizontally and held onto the blade, using it as a brace for himself. His body, like some kind of amphibious cat, was now warped into the seam as his mechanical hands sparked and crunched against the blade of the sword. Slowly, the pull of the vortex mixed with his grip caused the sword to cut into his robotic fingers. Finally, with one last attempt, he pulled himself up, but it was too late. His fingers broke off his hand, having been clean cut through, and he fell. 3 days earlier.
What? Huh?
3 days earlier. Well, like, that fucking sucked, Chickpea said as she wiped merman parts from her face. Sid and Fred were both covered in blood as the stench of rotting fish and death filled the bar. The Flamingo's hideout HQ hadn't smelled this bad since Peppercorn tried cornering the Grawl cheddar black market with his idea for bathtub cheese. He had gone out and found old bathtubs and filled them with milk and then let them sit for months, thinking that's how you make cheese. Needless to say, he got rich as hell. We're back to where we started, Fred said, slamming down a mug of meat and immediately slamming a second. Sid sighed as he put Socks down on the bar as the sword turned back into a cat. Socks the cat then licked the blood from Sid's face. Well, Sid said, time to get wasted, I guess, seeing as we're all failures. Can't fail at getting blackout drunk. We're out of Grawl whiskey, Peppercorn interrupted. Oh, no. Fuck this, Sid shouted. Just then, a metallic dragging sound began to echo from the outside. Fred grabbed his axe while Chickpea readied her staff. Zzz, zzz. Just as Chickpea was about to send a bolt through the door, it smashed open. There lay Gunk, bloody, beaten, half mechanical, his arms and legs twisted in various ways. They're coming, Gunk said before passing out. Gunk gasped as healing magic enveloped his body, his ribs haphazardly snapping back into place, his disjointed shoulder and arm crooked and wrenched back into their correct position. His legs snapped back into place and were no longer facing the wrong way like some kind of weird satyr. He's gonna be fine, probably, Chickpea said, lowering her staff. I didn't know you knew healing magic, Fred said to Chickpea. I learned it from your mother the night I fucked her so hard that I officially became your new dad, Chick replied.
Fucking got him.
You filthy little witch, Fred laughed. What a woman, he thought to himself. They're coming! Gunk shot up in a cold sweat. Who's coming on whom now? Peppercorn asked. His interest peaked. The Lich! Gunk screamed. In the corner, Sid sat in the darkness, the cherry of his spliff lighting up with each puff. The smoke enveloped his hooded visage as he then inhaled the second-hand smoke like the toque champion he was. He blew out a long exhale of smoke. Why should we give a fuck about what you say, traitor? Sid said with a sneer. They have Ugla, Gunk said desperately. Yeah, because you're with that witch, Sid said, slamming his fist down on the table. With a swift motion, he was already on over to the bed with a knife to Gunk's throat. Whoa, I'm gonna stand over here, Chickpea said, as she was down behind Fred's meaty left leg. You have to get ready, Gunk pleaded. You are gonna have to do a lot better than that, you son of a bitch, Sid said, frothing. He slid the dagger along Gunk's neck, hoping for a reaction so he could finish the job in one quick slice. But Gunk didn't move. Gunk held up his hands in a sign of surrender. Fuck! Sid said, pulling the knife away. May I remind you that this is the time you should be thanking your lucky tits that you have a genuine genius on your side, Peppercorn said, breathing on his nails and rubbing them on his shirt. Oh yeah? You know where we could find one? Fred said, laughing. Nice, Chickpea said, fist bumping him. All C-ball, bring up file code name Butterfly, Peppercorn said with a smirk. And then Fred looked down through Chickpea's blouse to see her bodacious killer bees, because that was another prompt. And also, she had some nice tits.
That's just lore right there. That just adds to the lore.
It's world building. Cut to The flame sword clanged to the floor as the chants of the fishmen reached new heights of culty craziness. Kind of like your uncle at Thanksgiving when he's talking about people eating cats in Ohio. I can only imagine that is the fate that will befall some of us this November. The Thanksgiving, not the cat eating. Although your mama didn't mind me munching on her pussy last night. If eating pussy is a deportable crime, just call me Haitian Joe. Your mama sure did last night when I was invading her Bay of Pigs. I know, that's Cuba. Is any of this okay to say? I don't know. Anyway.
Wow.
This guy said Taliban and flight fucking safety routines.
I did.
There's no room for judgment on this podcast.
I'm impressed. I'm impressed you managed to equal my depravity.
It's not a race, boys. Axwoon seethed. Her rage had made her powerful. Green veins etched her face and glowed just beneath her skin. Her hair was on end and waving like it was underwater in a shampoo commercial, except these split ends literally just killed a guy. The Lich chanted more crazy language as the orb began to glow brighter. We gotta do something now, Ugla whispered to Buffcat. Below, a lone fishman wearing a conch shell for a tri-corner hat began to zombie walk over to the Golden Crease. He was speaking in tongues like they do in those snake handler churches where people go to feel like they're important and that their made-up god loves them. Because that same made-up god only knows their family doesn't.
Damn.
True.
Oh, shaka laka hi, shaka hidey ho, Gary said as he zombie walked over to the flame sword. Nobody really noticed until Axwoon shot him a look. He looked directly into her eyes and froze. What are you doing, minion? She screamed into his brain. Must obey the queen, he said in his own head. Then, with a single wink, he grabbed the sword and threw it toward Ugla. Ugla, catch! He yelled. My hands are tied, you idiot! She yelled back as the sword clanged and hit the floor below her. Shit! Gary said, frowning. Minion, you cannot resist me, Axe said into his head. Gary turned again to face her. That's my secret, Axe. I always have a boner, he said as he winked at her again. Sandals now, he yelled. Sandals the cat, with a black splotch, ran out from Gary's ribcage toward the sword. She reached it and grabbed it in her little mouth and tossed it upward. Its power clanged against the evil chains and melted them away. The lich hissed in pain. Sandals then jumped up and transformed into a sword from sword form while Ugla floated downward, catching her mid-air. As soon as she superhero landed, she caught the falling flame sword behind her back and held it like Ahsoka style with Sandals in her main hand. Kill them all! Shouted Axwoon. Thousands of fishmen turned and began to rage monster storm toward the two heroes. Buffcat was already smashing an Automabot into pieces and using its own arm as a mace to crush another. Ugla spun and sliced two fishmen in half, their rotting guts slurped out in a wretched ooze that made her gag. Buffcat didn't mind, however. He clawed a fishman's face with his metallic claws. They burned the fishman's face with sheer pain. The fishman cried and yelled as he held his eyes, which were bleeding black and viscous, mucousy blood. As he shook in pain, the fishman literally melted away. Whatever magic was holding them together was weak to cat attacks. Jeez. Good to know for the tabletop version of this show.
Is this fucking spooky vision with all this fucking splorshing and slooshing and shit?
Yeah, man, it's the very wet episode today. It is time, bellowed the Lich. Inside the orb, Demi screamed as the orb itself melted away, leaving a gaping hole in reality. On the other side was a street, a quiet street, a Grawl street at about 2 a.m. Demi was now braced against the dimensional rift. Her very essence was braced to keep this gateway open. She felt her hands burn from the inside. The pain was unbearable. How long was she going to have to live like this? Why wouldn't he just let her die? No! Ugla yelled. But another mob of fishmen flung themselves at Ugla's death strokes. They were fodder for the two heroes, but that was the plan. Axwoon smiled as she saw Ugla struggling to get to Demi. Through the battle clangs and screams, the din of a tune could be heard. Axmoon turned her head toward the portal. It was still quiet, save for a single rat with a gun walking past. He looked into the portal and said, "What the fuck?" as he walked off. Axmoon squinted as she tried to hear the tune. Freak a leak, she heard. Just then, the Flamingo's van tore ass around the corner. Through the portal, Axmoon saw a small gnome slide out of the bone van's side door with a staffling gun. "Y'all ready for this?" Peppercorn yelled as he fired the staffling gun into the portal, expertly using his math genius to miss Demi and simultaneously pick off several fishmen that were occupying Buffcat. "I hope you guys have been changing the mana on this thing," Gunk yelled over his shoulder from the driver's seat. "She's very temperamental." "Go get Demi," Ugly yelled at Buffcat as he nodded. Swiftly, he ran over to the portal. Axmoon shot him a glance and quickly fired a bolt of magical lightning at him. The impact hit Buffcat like a ton of bricks as it knocked him off his feet completely and sent him flying. By this time, fishmen had gotten wise and started clawing their way through the portal. Demi splayed out helplessly as they reached around her head to gain purchase into the past. They scratched at her face and body as they wrenched past her, flowing into the once quiet nighttime streets of Grawl. "Hit the big red button!" Peppercorn screamed as he picked off more fishmen with the gun. Soon it clicked and jammed out a mana. "This one!" Gunk yelled. "Yeah, dumbass, what other red button do you see?" Fred chided. "Here goes nothing!" Gunk yelled, and slamming his metallic fist down on a giant red button that said, "Press me." All at once, mechanical whirs and clanks could be heard as gears and joists and gyros slid and popped into place. Above the Bone Man, 2 giant mechanical bat wings sprang forth. We should be at enough speed," Peppercorn yelled into the van's cabin. "What the hell did you do to my van, Pep?" Gunk shouted as his guts were now in his mouth as the van took flight. "Operation Butterfly, bitch!"
Nice. Ding dong.
Ding dong. The fishmen could only look up in amazement as the bone van was now flying swiftly through the air. "That was pretty sick," said one, just as a sword sliced through his face, stopping just at the neck. The 2 halves of his head now hanging off his neck like chewing gum on a hot day on the sole of a Chuck Taylor. Through the blood splatter, Sid rose up from behind and wrenched socks out of the gaping wound. "Fuck!" Chickpea yelled as she parachuted down from the flying van, landing next to Sid. The homemade parachute covered her entirely, as she was now fighting with it more than she was fighting with the fishmen who surrounded her. Finally, she used the flame spell to disintegrate it along with any fishmen who were unfortunate enough to be within 4 meters of her. "Go get them!" yelled Sid up to the flying bone car. "What in the shitty bang bang fuck is happening in this happy horseshit?" Axmoon said as she moved toward the portal. The Lich smiled and held out his hand. As he did, the portal widened and along with it stretched Demi's poor body to the breaking point. "No!" Gunk yelled. "Hit the other red button!" Peppercorn screamed. "Now there are 2 of them!" Gunk yelled back. Lo and behold, next to the first red button was another red button. Without hesitation, Gunk slammed it down. "Ejection seat activated," a computery Peppercorn voice said. Instantly, Gunk was shot forth from the driver's seat of the bone van into the air. He launched himself forward as the portal grew bigger and bigger. With dwarven accuracy, he landed with a thud on the hard stone street just near the portal opening. Fishmen were still clawing through, but Chick and Sid were quick to reach him and fend off the oncoming fishmen. "Help me!" Demi cried, her body now at its limit. She was dying. Kid, you gotta pull. Just hold on," Gunk yelled. Gunk reached out through the portal, his mechanical arms sizzling as they passed the event horizon. Fishmen who tried to grab at the edge of the portal for purchase into this new world quickly found out that doing so meant the loss of a hand or arm. But Gunk's own magical, infused Lich golden arms were immune. At least immune enough. He grabbed Demi, but her arms and feet were fused to the portal's edge. Again, the Lich widened the orifice. Axwound stood over Buffcat and smiled. "Here, kitty, kitty," she cackled. "Time for you to be put down."
God damn.
"Mew, mew," Buffcat spat. "Such nasty words for a kitty," Axwound said. "He's right," Ugla said, standing right next to Axwound. "Get fucked, bitch," she said as she swung her sword toward Axwound. Axe dodged it, but Ugla held out a reverse sword hand and used a punch spell to punch her right in the tit. Axwound flew back and hit the stones 10 feet back. "Ow, my fucking tit!" she yelled. Go help them, Ugla shouted at Buffcat. "Mew, mew, mew, mew," Buffcat asked. "Just go," Ugla yelled, pushing him toward the portal. Buffcat got on all fours and zoomed his way over to the portal, killing any fishman along his way. Ugla turned around and swung her swords, facing Axwound, who's still rubbing her huge titty. Gunk was pulling Demi when Buffcat came through the portal and grabbed onto him from the back. He was now pulling Gunk, who was pulling Demi. With their combined strength, they managed to free one of her hands from the portal's grasp. She let out a cry of pain and then whimpered in a whimper of relief. Gunk reached to grab her other hand and free it from the portal. He managed to do so, but found that now he was stuck in the portal's grasp. "Take her, cat!" he screamed in agony. Buffcat yanked Demi to safety as she lay on top of him, steaming and shaking. "Ah, fuck, this sucks!" Gunk yelled. As the portal was now grasping at his limbs like an octopus with far more than 8 legs. Axwound turned and saw Gunk struggling in pain. The Lich again smiled and breathed in a breath of pure gold dust, which seeped through Gunk's arms into the air. "Good," he said as he gained more power. Axwound shot a look at Gunk and then shot a look at Ugla, who was ready to kill her for good this time. Ugla turned to see Sid through the portal. For her, all of time slowed down. She saw him swing his sword and cut through a fishman, only to see him lock eyes with her through time and space. She felt like an idiot, but all she could do was smile. He felt like an idiot because all he could do was smile back. Axwound's face curled downward, almost mimicking Gunk's pained facial expressions. She could feel his pain. She hated it. She hated him. No, she hated hurting him. Axwound shot a look back at Ugla, who was smiling at Sid. Axe held up a hand and charged a powerful green magical bolt and pointed it at Ugla. "Help! Axe, help!" Gunk shouted in dire agony. Axwound again felt a single tear fall from her cheek. In an instant, she shot over to the portal, and with all her magical force, pushed Gunk back through the portal toward the path he had come from. As she pushed him, she held out a hand to touch him one last time, but physics wouldn't allow it. He was moving too fast, and she was too slow. Her grasp barely missed him as he too tried to reach for her, and then she felt pain like she had never felt before. Nothing in her life prepared her for the fire now sizzling through her entire nervous system. "Finally," the Lich screamed. With the swiftness of a hawk, he soared down while turning himself into golden vapor. As he reached Axwound, he entered her. Not like that, you sickos. Although I guess some of his vapor may have, stay on task, guys, okay? His essence was now inside Axwound. Her eyes turned a golden yellow as she fought off this invasion. She was in pain and now was being taken over. Ugla smiled at Sid, but then everything came crashing back to reality. Axwound was now a Lich wound. Before Sid could react, he saw Ugla charge at the portal. Sid raised his sword and charged the portal from the other direction. Like two wrecking balls colliding, they were going to be together no matter what again. Axwound let out a helpless yelp and cry. "It was you, little witch. It was always you," the Lich said in her mind, which was also now his mind. And now there's a motorcycle. Thank you.
And in the motorcycle's mind.
Battle. That's the fishman.
Motorcycle drove a fishman, yeah. "You are the one. Your hate is intoxicating, and now you will be free of it." This was it. Axwound was ready to let go when suddenly, flaming, sizzling flesh. She smelled the scent of burning flesh. And then her brain processed the pain. Her left arm was now free. No, it was gone. She slumped down, still pinned to the portal, but semi-free. The Lich screamed inside and outside of her mind. He mist-formed again and flew out of Axe's body into this new old world. His golden essence tinged a magical green. He laughed as he flew into the night sky at Deranos at impossible speeds into the sky and was gone. With the Lich gone, the portal began to close around itself. "Ugla, hurry!" Sid yelled as he slid to a stop. But she just shook her head and laughed. She did the math. She couldn't make it. Axwoon's dangling, dying body grazed the edge of the portal, and more burning, singed flesh wafted through the air. "No!" Gunk screamed as he, with the very last bit of energy he had, shoved Axwoon back through the portal, freeing her from its grasp. In doing so, his arms, which were now between two worlds, were severed from his body. The portal closed as two metallic arms clanged to the ground next to a dying axe wound. The stones of the castle were quiet, like nothing had ever happened in this place for 1,000 years. Ugla stood over Axwound, who was covered in sweat and blood and gold dust. She held up sandals and was ready to land the coup de grace. Axwound raised her remaining hand up and nothing. No magic shot out. She cried and even tried using her now missing arm to block the blow. She was helpless, pathetic even. Ugla lowered her sword and fell into the stone floor next to a dying witch. Sandals turned back into a cat and licked Ugla. She then turned and licked Axwound, looking back at Ugla. Ugla covered her face and began to weep what felt like the sum of every tear cried in the history of men and monster. To be continued.
To be continued? That last line was fucking hard as fuck, by the way.
Yeah.
That fucking rolled.
You just have to wait. You gotta wait.
Gotta wait a month.
You're a bastard, man.
Yeah, well, you know what?
We're all bastards here.
Is it I who am the bastard?
You are the one who is the bastard man.
Or is it the format of the show who is the bastard?
The format of the show is this is the finale of the second season, bitch.
Yeah. It's finale. It's Star Trek. It's Star Trek. It's Captain
Oh, you're
Picard,
doing best of both worlds.
Yeah, I'm having the best of both worlds.
He's having the best of both worlds and he's eating them.
Yeah. Like your mama's pussy last night.
That's not the best of both worlds.
Was for her.
It's not the
That's
best
the
of any
worst
world.
between both legs.
Yeah, I liked that you didn't stick Sid and Ugla together yet.
Yeah.
He's getting fucking cock teased for
It's
all time and
Moonlighters.
space.
It's Josh's version of Moonlighters. If he
are
gets
they
rid of
gonna
the
be
sexual
together?
tension, it'll be
Everyone loves the
over.
will they won't they.
Yeah.
Especially when it goes on for 12 seasons.
Yeah. In my head, it was like they're like the two couples are like punching each other,
Yeah.
right? Like one of them does something and then the other one does something, and it's like a counter. It's like they're not like working together so much, but they're kind of are, but not really. I don't know. That's how I kind of thought of it.
Axwound felt like she was on the edge of some sort of redemption, and I guess we'll find out if she gets that redemption before dying.
If she
Who
dies.
knows? If
She dies.
I love the way you said that. That was the most unnatural way I've ever heard that said.
Yeah.
If she dies.
I was doing my Kirk impression.
Oh, that was good. That was a great impression.
If she dies.
I have no confidence that Josh isn't telling a massive whopper and she's not going to die.
I don't know. Who even knows?
Josh doesn't know.
Josh
He's
doesn't-
writing it.
I don't know.
I had to literally mute my mic after laughing way too loud for too long about P. Pablo
P.D.
showing up at your store.
Freak a leak. You want it in your pussy, you want it in your ass, any way that you want it.
Those were real lyrics.
Thanks, P.D. Pablo.
What a gentleman.
Thanks for giving me the option.
And the inspiration.
Just a whole generation of listeners being like, what the fuck are they talking about?
What is a P.D. fucking Pablo?
I mean,
He's like a Little Wayne, but better at rapping.
do your own research.
Yeah, just like with vaccines, do your own research.
All right, well, that's the exact same thing.
And
You're right.
follow the rules and get vaccinated.
Yeah.
Is what I
do
I
your
was
own
going to
research,
finish.
but
Yeah.
do it in the appropriate place so that you have the appropriate knowledge to keep yourself and others safe.
Do it on a
Reddit.
science website.
Yeah.
Reddit. Twitter.
I'm happy with how all three of those stories ended.
I am too.
I'm glad this is over for a little while. I'm not gonna lie.
I hate to agree with you, but I completely and totally do.
I need to go sip a coconut drink on the beach, metaphorically, of course. I can't do that.
No. We need a break. This season has taken it out of us, I think. The stories have generally been longer. They've had high stakes, I feel like
The stakes have never been higher.
we've been under. I'd say we probably put ourselves under pressure to outperform season 1.
Yeah, I think we did, but at what cost? You know?
I will say I am not looking to beat myself with season 3. I'm not trying to top season 2 with season 3.
No.
I don't know what the fuck
neither.
I'm doing yet, but it's not going to top season 2.
I should have done what you guys did. Now I gotta tell the rest of this story, and I don't even know when it's gonna end or what's gonna
You
end.
should just
never.
You should just take a whole season break and do like a western.
It's just-
You know, you say that, but I am contemplating doing a different genre story.
he's gonna do a western.
It's gonna do pirates.
That's a genre of book. You got
Pirates are just
sci-fi, you
water
got fantasy,
westerns.
you got horror, you got pirate.
Pirates.
Mills and Boone. You could do the sexy pirate stuff.
Oh, romance.
Heaving bosoms and
I did
throbbing
one
touches.
romance story.
that's true.
Yeah.
It still might be people's favorite story I've done.
Dude, they're all romance stories to me. I
Yeah.
love them all.
Yours are.
Well, yeah, there's lots of porking and titty fucking.
There's true
There's
love.
there's any titty fucking.
There's
Not
true
yet.
love in your stories, though, between Sid and Ugla.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny that you didn't say Gunk and Axemoon. That's weird.
Well, they're both dead. It doesn't matter.
Are they though?
I love this. He's doing all the
Well,
work.
Gunk
for
just
him.
had robot arms cut off, so I'm sure he's fine.
Yeah, he'll be fine. He's got no blood in those robot arms.
And Axewoman just had a real living human arm cut off. I'm sure she's fine.
Yeah, she'll magic herself a new arm.
Yeah, does she have magic anymore?
I don't know.
that does seem to be the implication.
That's what I say.
All right. On that, we're going to close the cover on this season's series. Stories.
Clunk.
I
Hey,
won't.
please do us a favor. At the end of the season, now that we're here, we are going to be doing a trivia face-off show where you guys send us in questions to our email, which is storylordspod@gmail.com. And Mr. Kevin Cole will be reading them to us, being the quiz master, and we're going to see how much of our own fucking stories we each remember.
Oh, God.
I'm scared. For
I'm not
one.
looking forward to that.
On two
This
fronts.
is going to be an embarrassing.
I'm
this is
scared. I'm
embarrassing.
scared on two fronts. One, I don't remember anything, and two, we only have 2 questions so far, so we might
Yeah.
not get to do it.
If you
I'm less scared about the 2 questions because that's less failure chance.
If we
0
don't
out
get
of
enough
2
questions-
is less embarrassing than 0 out of 100.
If we
Yeah,
don't get
it's-
enough questions, we're not going to do it. Which is
Yeah.
going to be embarrassing to be like, sorry, Kevin, our podcast wasn't popular enough to get questions.
He knows. He already knows.
I mean, feel free to do 3 questions each in your email. It's fine.
You can send as many questions as you want,
Yeah.
honestly. Kevin will decide whether he reads them or not.
Yeah.
Storylordspod@gmail.com. Don't forget pod. Storylordspod@gmail.com. There's a link to email us on the website, I think. Storylords.card.co. Card with 2 R's.
For
If there isn't,
Storylords.page.
there will be.
So we're not going to bring the All-C
There is.
prompt ball out at this point of the show because we're going to give ourselves a break. I'm not even going to set prompts. In fact, I'm probably going to burn all the old prompts.
Damn.
Which is inconvenient because it's on my computer. So bye-bye.
How are you gonna burn your computer?
Well, I mean,
actually, it's Apple. Burn it. Burn it. It's a Mac.
And we'll start a whole new series with a whole new set of prompts. If you want to be one of those people that submit prompts, you need to head over to patreon.com/storylords, and for as little as $5 a month, you can suggest prompts, head over to our Discord, and entwine it with your fellow story squires, converse, make free love, whatever you want to do. Okay?
Oh yeah. All right.
And then you get access to you can tell I'm just totally checked out at this point.
Yeah.
Totally checked out.
You can.
This guy is phoning it in.
You have access to the Patreon stories that we put up. We put them up there as well. Well, Jeff does. I'm not going to take credit for him. For $10 a month, you get access to our other two sidecasts that we do, and those are Redesigned by Committee and Afterlords. We had quite a nice amount of comments on the last Afterlords because we had a very positive episode where we talked about what we liked about ourselves and each other.
We went to couples therapy.
We talked about what we liked about ourselves and about each other. It was a very free love style episode.
Yeah.
Oh man, I was wiping jizz off my beard for days.
It's it was very like mood boosting. For like 2 days after we recorded, I was in a really good mood.
That's why we did it.
Yeah.
We need it. We need
We need
feel
to
love.
get through the last two episodes.
Yeah.
please become a patron. Patreon.com/storylords. There's a ton of cool stuff on there. Like one-off stuff that I think is really cool. Like Rich posted an original version of a story that he wrote like a long time ago. The original version of his this season story.
Yeah.
And I thought that was
crazy.
a really cool look.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I might do that again. You never know.
So I'm thinking about adapting something I've already figured out for next season, but I guess I'll leave that to people's imaginations. We'll see.
I just like say, hey man, let's just write the story the night before. Let's go.
Yeah, me and Rich have never done that.
No.
I was surprised how Rich got toward the. This is a little peek behind the curtain. Rich was like coming in last like recently.
Yeah.
Which is amazing to me because usually it's me.
It was 'cause of his like job situation for a while. Like, they were like running him ragged with shit.
Yes, that is also why I write late stories.
Yeah, I was like, there was one this season where I was like, we were 3 minutes from recording and I still hadn't finished.
Which is
insane.
Is the record. He has won the award overall for the show.
Consistently, it's Josh. It's Josh last night before the big exam, Henderson.
I'm nothing but consistent.
I always feel like I'm doing it last because I'm like doing it the night before.
I think you're first most of the time now.
Bitch, the night before, that's fucking like, that's like thinking ahead. That's
I'm
crazy
doing it
good.
the night before, and then like I finish, and I'm like, oh, I'm finished. And both Josh and Rich are like, I'm on page 1.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what happens.
Hey, last night you were like, what page are you on? I was like, like 4.
I don't know
like,
how you write so fast.
We're such a remedial class here at Storylords.
Well, you should see my typing.
I would be, in any other scenario, the latest, most irresponsible man on the show.
Look, C's get degrees is all I'm saying.
That's true.
I think it's basically like we're coming in hot, right? We've just finished it. It's fresh off the press.
What are we coming in?
Your mum.
I'm not.
Whatever.
Don't include me. Don't say we.
Yeah, and Rich are both doing it at the same time.
You guys are like frauding at the same time inside.
Yeah, it's like the double dick in there.
We're entwined, like the people on the Discord.
The Discord.
But yeah, I like that I don't have an opportunity to look at it again. I don't have an opportunity to edit it.
Oh yeah, I don't edit my shit at all, and you can see when you read it, and there are just like wrong words.
Oh god,
constantly.
it's the spelling mistakes and it's crazy. It's absolutely insane.
I don't edit the submission before. Well, I know none of us do edit the submission before it goes up on the Patreon as well. So
that's
anyone
the problem. That's the problem that we've ran into with the idea of doing a book of the first season is that somebody has to sit and edit those 3 episodes for all 26 episodes.
Yeah. I mean, if anyone wants to volunteer to do that on the Discord, that would help us out greatly.
Yeah, if you want to do it, that's cool.
Yeah, I would feel so bad if someone was doing that for us.
If someone did that, they would get a free copy of the book.
Sure.
Yeah.
Easy. Whatever
peasy.
rewards we did with that, you would get, and an editor credit in the book that you could
And a phone
making
call
Rich
from
do
Reese's the
that you
Wise.
could, that you could legitimately put on your CV that you were a book editor.
I heard it's your birthday or another day that is important to you.
John.
Congratulations, girl or boy or other.
We here at Storylords love you, John.
John Wagner. I don't know. Is that a guy? Who knows?
No, patreon.com/Storylords. We would appreciate the hell out of that. There is, by the way, a link to email us on storylords.card.co. Card with 2 R's. That's our website. There's just a little graphic you can click on that says contact, and it'll open up probably Outlook if you haven't taken it off your computer. Hopefully Gmail or something.
Hopefully.
Yo, Outlook got Outlook on your computer?
No. I've got it on my work computer because we have to use Microsoft at work.
Of course you
That's
do.
disgusting.
Yeah,
That's work. That's work. That's jobs for you.
Yep.
Use this shit ass. Whatever. Anyway.
Have we got any reviews this week?
Oh, probably not. Let's find out.
Okay, so while Jeff is checking, serious talk, guys. We haven't had a review for quite a while now.
Yeah, June 19th is the last review we had.
So it'd be nice if we had a review that we could read on the show. We read them all. We're really grateful for them all. If you haven't left a review yet, it's really nice. Look, I'm talking to you specifically. I'm asking you for a favour. Go and leave a review on your podcast listening device of choice, and you can have it read out on the show. Actually, we only check iTunes. Do it on iTunes. If you like the music for this episode and all the episodes this season, that's interesting. We might get. I don't want to put Greg under too much pressure, but we might get a new theme tune next season.
That'd be fucking nuts.
He'll definitely do it. He is too good a boy not to do it. He just loves doing it.
Rich is just like, everybody do free work for us.
Greg is a genius though. He does it because he loves doing it, and he's told me that before.
We need to have him back on the show, to write another story. I would love to go back to the superhero universe he created.
Mm-hmm. But if you
with that guy who is like Bobo Superman.
Yeah.
I like that guy.
It was the true hero of the story was like Pickle Man.
That's what it was. Pickle Man.
Pickle Man.
Fucking Pickle Man.
But if you want to hear anything from Greg, want to have updates on what he's doing, his tour dates and stuff, you head over to citizen.card.co. That's card with 2 R's. Next week, next fortnight, next episode, whatever the fuck it's called, we are going to try and do this quiz. We cannot do that without content, people. So
you people have been fucking shouting us down. Who are these 3 fucking nobodies? We want Kevin Cole to be on the podcast. And if you want Kevin Cole to be on the podcast, send us quiz questions about anything that's happened in the entire show. As many questions as you want. Whatever. Just fucking send them in. storylordspod@gmail.com. We would appreciate the holy hell out of it, because I'll be level with you. I don't want to have to be like, sorry, Kevin, we can't do the show.
yeah.
It'll be embarrassing, and more importantly, we won't get to talk to Kevin.
Yeah.
Yep,
Which
true.
is a fucking fate worse than death that you're putting us to. Thank you, everyone.
I'd rather die. I'd rather cut my own dick off.
And the thing is, if Kevin comes on to do the quiz, there is a potential likelihood he might come back at some point to be a guest. And
if I have to tell him the podcast has so few interested listeners that we can't even do a quiz show, he's going to be like, well, why would I sully my beautiful self by being on this garbage podcast?
And he would be right.
Yep.
He'd be right.
Let's trick him. Let's all get together and trick him into thinking this is a popular podcast.
Let's come on, guys. Let's pull it together for one day.
Let's fucking bamboozle this man into being on the show.
Yeah. It doesn't take a lot. By the time you hear this, we'll only have a week till recording.
Yeah.
So you need to send them in now if you want that show to happen. Otherwise, if we don't have enough within like a couple of days after release, we're going to have to cancel that show and do something different. Because we are not heading straight into season 3. We need a break.
No. We're going to take at least a month off.
We're going to
I'm gonna fucking J.D. Salinger. No, what's the guy? I'm gonna Hemingway. Just get wasted on whiskey and put a shotgun in my mouth if we have to do this again next week.
Jesus.
Josh
cry for
Josh
help.
And we also talked about potentially, having a fair amount to drink and do in this show as well. So
I don't remember us discussing this, but I am on board.
We are gonna get drunk.
I have already done an episode of Toonhounds where I'd had a fair bit to drink because I was, just sick and tired of everything.
What says adult more than a Wednesday hangover, boys?
And I've got to work the next day, so I'm committed to the bit. Right.
Shit.
A big thank you to every listener this season. We have, as much as we have complained, it's been a blast doing this season.
No, I love this show, man.
Yeah.
We always finish up and say, that's just the best thing we've done this week. So, we couldn't do it without you. We wouldn't do it without you. It'd be useless to do it without you. So, thank you. You're a great audience, and we love you, but we need questions, so send us some fucking questions.
We're really hitting us hard this time. Storylordspod@gmail.com, please.
Right.
If you don't send a question to this podcast, you go to hell before you die.
You do.
Damn.
You do.
We're like the Catholic Church now. This rules.
I would also
Pope hats?
I would also like to extend a big thanks to my fellow podcast hosts because without them, this would not be anywhere.
Spivs?
You two, you dickheads.
Who are they? What do they do?
Because without them, this would not be fun. As fun as it is. And I have a blast doing this every 2 weeks. So thank you guys.
Aw. Thank you,
You're
Rich.
welcome, Rich Master.
Oh, God, he's here.
God, he's here. Speaking of guests,
Josh went to order a pizza.
right? That's the that's
As soon as
safe
you started
word.
getting emotional, Josh ditched to get a pizza.
I'm out of here. I'm back. What happened?
Thank both of my co-hosts for being so fucking cool. This is like something stupid that Rich has been like, no, that's not the case. But I would like to thank Rich specifically for also including me in this podcast. It's like having Josh is a no-brainer because he's...
No, I thought I was the third wheel.
No, you're the guy. Like, you're the man.
I mean, what's really important is that I set it up.
Yeah. We have to thank Lord Richard Masters.
I mean, I'm not going to argue that. He's right.
I mean, don't argue about which of you is second as long as you both know that I'm first.
He's right. You know what? He's right. I learned real early on that you got to say this to Rich or else things go south.
I made the website, right? Like, I'm the guy who made the website, and I put everything on it. But the order of us on the website is Rich, Josh, Jeff. And when I do the description of the podcast, it's Rich, Josh, Jeff.
Why don't you do it alphabetical? I always do it alphabetical.
Because then I'd be last. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, Rich would be last.
Well, maybe you should have fucking told your parents to not have your name be
Maybe you should have had a J name like a fucking civilized person.
Stupid idiot.
Jitch.
Jitch.
Jitch Jasters.
Bitch bastards. You'd be first.
There you go. That's why you call me it.
Yeah.
You're first in our heart is why we call you bitch bastards.
Perfect. Right, with that, we're going to go. We will see you in 2 weeks, hopefully for the show you have been asking for. If not, for a completely different style of show. Bye.
Bye.
Storylordspod@gmail.com. We fucking mean it.